side for a quick single. My word, it's all happening. The crowd are on the edge of their seat. They don't know what to make of this. Azruddin on strike now for what I believe is the final ball of the first over. And this time he has just worked that. Oh, he's driven it nicely towards that mid-wicket boundary. He's going up that long hill. The fielder just pulls it in, gets it back in, but they run through for a quick three. Well, what an eventful over that was, I think. Is there another ball to come? We're just checking.
No, final ball. That was it.
That was it. That's it. That's the first over gone. It is 10 for 2 wickets.
Jules, are you doing social media or am I today? Will you
If you can, that'd be great.
Righto. Well, we are joined, of course, by a few people. Linux Leah, ASL Mercenary, says, Gorilla Cricket, say what you will about Shakib. He sacrificed a year's paydays just to be part of this team. Mog, who's with us, who says, oh, all right, I'll tweet you. So we're glad you did, Mog. Leah said, in other NBN news, I heard Umar Akmal is appealing his ban. He probably should drop the appeal. And Leah's saying this match is suspicious, even by this tournament standards.
Nothing wrong with it, man.
Which are checkered, to say the least, as we know.
This hand is as clean can be.
Right,
look
you've been watching it.
It may look
40 seconds, I expect.
Well,
Bowler's name.
Who's the
Trouble is, he rolls with this hand.
Bowler's name.
The bowler's name. Well, pace seemed to start, so I want to go with someone just as fierce, but I haven't got one. So I'm going to let Paul Allett loose and see how he operates from what's the non-pavilion end at Trent Bridge? I should know, shouldn't I?
Should do, but I haven't a clue.
Does you have a jingle for Paul Allett?
Yeah, we do. It goes like this.
Yeah, I guess he's okay.
That's Cliff Road.
Here's the kicker. He was 6'4". He should have bowled much quicker.
Oh, I like that. Is that a Run DMC track or something like that?
I don't know.
No, isn't it?
Funky
Faith
Cold
No
Medina
More.
Man. Huh?
Faith No More, isn't it?
Ah, okay.
Think no
Could
more.
be.
Lou Vincent on strike now, as in comes Paul Allett, steaming in, and his first delivery has been. Oh my God! There's a big appeal. Was that a caught behind chance? Something? No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It looked like it took the edge, but it didn't. There was a big appeal from the side, the spectacle side, but it turns out should have gone to Vision Express because they're the only people that I know that are currently doing eye tests remotely. Anyway, Paul Allett back to his mark.
Should have gone to Barnard Castle.
Yeah, of course.
Azruddin has got.
He has indeed.
He should have 3 to his name. Oh, was that the next ball? Sorry,
That's the next ball. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, we nearly missed a ball because but that one says, oh, look at that. It's gone to the boundary, the leg side. We don't know quite how it happened. Probably flicked it. What a lovely flick he has. 4 more to Lou Vincent. It's Lou Vincent. Sorry, it's Lou Vincent.
It's Azruddin.
It's Azruddin.
Oh, sorry, he took 3 at the end of the last over. Oh my word, I'm being racist all over again. I didn't even know. 4 runs to Azruddin. Sorry.
2 plus 2 is on man.
Very good. In comes Paul Allett again for the next delivery now, and he bowls, and this time we do see what happens. He's just flicked that wristy shot through the leg side, races away to the boundary. Another one for Mohammad Azruddin, who moves into double figures. He's on to 11 now, and building up with the team here as we move swiftly on. In comes Paul Allett with a comeback delivery. What's he gonna do this time? He bowls, and oh, that was close, but just a thicker chance that is guided to the third man region. They take a single and have a little chat. I wonder what they're discussing. Probably the Tiger Hunter. I could mouth the words Carol Baskin. Next delivery, in comes Paul Allett, and this time another single to that third man region. They seem to be happy to take these singles and keep the conversation going. Azruddin took a single, and then Vincent took a single as well. Right, Azruddin back on strike now, as in comes Allett, and there's a big appeal. It struck him quite pretty close. It is LBW. Yes, it's been given. Well, just as Azruddin was starting to look good, Paul Allett has followed Devon Malcolm's lead and taken another wicket very, very quickly. Azruddin is out.
I won't look back, just by the time that I do, you'll be gone.
Right, I believe there is one more delivery to come in the over. The next batsman.
No.
End of the over.
End of the over.
The over. Sorry,
I missed a ball somewhere there, but never mind.
So
You're rubbish. That's why Jules is the scorer and you're not.
Precisely. Yep.
There should be 20 for 2 at the end of 2 overs.
You're free.
3.
20 for 3. Yes, of course. How could I forget?
So he went for 10 as well.
You're trying to pay off the bloody match umpire now, huh? Right.
Well, we have had a couple of tweets. Radcliffe Road End, Leah's kindly telling me. It did come to me when I eventually, as happens with age, my memory goes a bit peculiar. Mog, Faith No More Bear.
Okay.
Mog says it's my favourite band, which he puts in very large capital letters.
Good band.
Durban Oak, hello there, wants to know why Alan Lamb is a naughty boy. That's a good question. Why is he a naughty boy, Atif?
Well, allegedly he likes to visit certain people who like to sell certain things that are legal in certain parts of Colorado.
Well, that's all clear.
But they certainly were in the 1980s and 70s when you played.
Matthew Engel, who of course is a massive North Hats fan, did say that he used to strut around the county grounds like Napoleon, and he never lost his accent nor his attitude, and there was something about the colonial chancer about him, none of which make him that naughty really, but I think it's an attitude thing. You got him in for just an abrasive attitude, haven't you? And nothing wrong with that. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
No, also because I just saw that Ian Botham was in one of the other teams. And,
he's in several of the other teams as far as I can work out.
Yeah, no, and I was annoyed that I couldn't have Botham for mine, but I don't know, there's something just quite, he looks like the kind of guy that would pull the fire alarm and get you in trouble for it, so, I had to pick him.
Fair enough. Devon Malcolm, I'd be a bit stupid to take him off after that first over.
Indeed.
And he's the new batter as well.
Yes, the new batsman is Pakistani match-fixing legend, Salim Malik.
Salim Malik, the cupboard is bare. Don't claim poverty brought you despair.
Salim Malik, here he comes to the crease with his moustache still intact after all these years, as he faces up to Devon Malcolm, who's on a roll. What's going to happen? In he comes, and oh my word, that screen has gone really small, so I can't see it. Wait, hold on a second. Yeah, three runs for Salim Malik, who's off the mark immediately. Right, I just click on it. That shan't happen again. Very good. Vincent back on strike. Malcolm, what's he
Malik on strike.
It's Malik on strike.
Oh, so Vincent took the 3. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Now Malik's got 3. Oh, there we go. It all kind of worked out, didn't it? 3 for Vincent, 3 for Malik in identical fashion. Thank you very much, Jules. I appreciate it. Vincent is now back on strike?
Yes.
Of course he is. Of course, I can't tell the difference. I don't see race. Anyway, oh my word, there's a big appeal for LBW. My word, what's going to happen now? He's been stumped. Well, for the first time in his career, Devon Malcolm has got somebody out-stumped. Unbelievable. How did Lou Vincent make that happen? I've got a couple of theories. I'll tell you after his jingle.
So get on your bike and take a hike right out of here. Your history, no good for me. Your history, nah.
Did I just see the bear checking the no ball thing was working there while we were away?
No, not at all. Man.
That's pretty. This is pretty. So who's the wicketkeeper? I didn't notice the wicketkeeper there. You wouldn't. Who was it?
My wicketkeeper is Dick Young.
Look at that. Well, what a dick. Great performance there behind the stumps. From
He's about 107 now. So
Oh,
he's doing pretty well.
He's doing pretty. That's just a great name. It doesn't seem to fit him from any perspective, but wonderful. Okay. Yeah, there you go. So that's a 4th wicket to fall, and it brings to the crease PlayStation fan, great eater, and current cricket bannee, Mr. Umar Akmal.
Ooh. I thought you were going to go for someone else. Now I've got to go and find him now.
Oh, really? Who did you think it was going to be?
Oh, I thought it was going to be Shaki. Baz, we just ripped a bit out of the theme tune. It's fine. Right then.
Right. Umar Akmal is now on strike. Devon Malcolm is a bag of tricks today, and he's got immediately another big appeal. And what's going to happen now? What's out? Umar Akmal spared his blushes. We thought we might have another stumping there. Devon Malcolm, bizarrely, is bowling leggies out the back of his hand. Nobody's seen this before. He's taking the P's. In comes Devon Malcolm again to Umar Akmal once more, and this time, and wow, well, that was streaky. That was very, very streaky. Umar Akmal going for a drive, edges it, and it goes between the first and third slip. Why is there not a second slip? Well, I don't know. Like, why? They probably didn't see him, but I can't make jokes about spectacled people, especially when there's, I think all three of you are wearing glasses. So okay, so we're not gonna do that. So anyway,
1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
One to come.
One to come. Thank you so much. One more delivery from Devon Malcolm, and Umar Akmal will retain the strike as he guides this with a little bit more control to third man. Very slowly. Oh, there's a fumble out there in the deep, and the fielder has thrown it to another fielder. Oh, they run for another one. Okay, they've got 3 in the end. And that is the end of the over, which should take the total to 10 plus 11 plus 12.
33 for 4.
33 for 4.
Okie dokie. Well, I suppose again, Paul Allett got off to a pretty good start with that LBW of Azruddin. So we're going to keep him on. From what we have established, of course, is the Redcliffe Road end, thanks to the next Leah's help. Dave Wood, by the way, says, I can see Hansi gesturing to the umpires from the balcony. Cameras don't miss anything. Oh, in fact, Mog, there's quite a few. I'm going to jump in with these. Mog says, did you not know Lamb was done for fleecing the RAMS mortgage group? Very good, Mog. We love a pun or two. The next Leah says, was expecting something like suffocation. A bit disappointed, not going to lie. I'm not quite sure if that relates to Mog's thing or not. Not Fred Titmus. The new batsman is the Pakistani match-fixing legend. Narrow it down a bit, Atif Nawaz. Durban Oak says, isn't Srinath in the Naughty Boys squad? That's definitely one for you to answer. Is he or isn't he? I can't remember.
Well, we did consider Javagal Srinath, but he was just slightly too honourable to join the list. So.
Wow, mind you, that's not saying a lot, is it?
No, just a little bit too much honour, sadly. So, in any case, shall we proceed? Right, who's going to continue? Allett.
Paul Allett, yes.
Paul Allett to continue, and he's bowling to Umar Akmal. And that's been smashed. My word. Well, that was a very pedestrian pace, very extraordinary shot. Over mid-wicket, humongous 6. Look at that, he's flexing there a little bit, Umar Akmal. He's Six. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it was 6. Umar Akmal on strike now. What's Alec going to reply with? And he comes and there's a big appeal immediately. Is that going to be given? Yes, it is. The stumping. My word, Dick Young is on fire. Yeah, make sure you get those words in the right order. So that's right. He's got a stumping. Paul Allett taking the 5th wicket.
All of the dreams that I dreamed were mine are gone.
Who did you get there?
Umar Akmal gone stumped Allett for 14 runs. Top scorer so far. Malik not out on 3 here. These are the non-strikers. And the new batsman is the Bangladeshi sensation, Mr. Shakib Al Hasan.
Shakib Al Hasan played for Worcester. Shakib Al Hasan played for Worcester.
He did indeed. He's on strike now to Paul Allett, and immediately there's a big appeal. My word, what is going on today? Who's been given not out. Big appeal there from Dick Young, who was spreading his arms, just trying to make as much noise as possible, but given not out in the end. Anyway, Shakib is still on strike. Another appeal. What is going on here? And this time again, another not out. My word, the balls are doing very peculiar things today, I must say. In comes Shakib. In comes Paul Allett, and he's been hit for 3 down the ground. Didn't quite have enough power on it from Shakib to get the boundary, but he'll take 3. He'll be glad to get off strike because Paul Allett is all over him like a cheap suit. In comes Allett once again. One more. This time 3 for Salim Malik. who is trying to get a little bit more control on this game for the Naughty Boy Nets, who've lost way too many wickets very quickly. 5 down now, trying to recover another 3 to the score. Is that the end of the over?
Yeah, it is
Yes,
indeed.
it is.
Okay. The score is... I'll tell you exactly what the score is, because I'm very good at doing maths while I speak. 37 plus 3 is 40. Plus 6 is 46 for 5, right?
Is that right, Jules?
Close, but no cigar. It's 45 for 5 or 4 overs.
Oh, gosh.
You're not very good. You just leave it to Jules, man.
Yeah, that's...
You got the score ahead.
Some
Exactly.
tweets,
We
some
have
tweets.
a score. She will tell us the score.
While you compose yourself. Linux Leah says, Umar's nephew, very aware of his family reputation in this picture. She sent a picture of what looks like someone holding a baby, which I presume is Umar. But his nephew has a very strange look on his face. Mog says, underrated tweet. I'm not sure which one that refers to. Knuckle Pandy says, Srinath, not Srinath. Very different, overly intense Indian fast bowlers. Presumably, well, I can't say what that's. Tony Bishop, tone, beard, and new haircut. Someone told me I look like Alistair Cook the other day. I can see that. Linux Leah says, gonorrhea young. Oh, Lord. There we go. He'll be getting the clap from the crowd.
Ooh. Next bowler, please.
The next bowler, well, I suppose in theory, shall I continue with Devon? He's had 2 pretty good overs. I think I might just hold him back. So I think it is time for the man who took a hat-trick last time out. Yes, indeed, the only hat-trick of the tournament so far, the man from our theme tune, the Maverick from Surrey, Percy Fender.
No surrender, Percy Fender.
No surrender, Percy Fender. It's even on a T-shirt, that one.
Yes, it is indeed. You can get that from the Gorilla Cricket website.
You can indeed.
Yeah.
Right, he's going to face up then.
In he comes now, and he's bowling to Malik. He is bowling to Malik. Yes, it is. And in he comes, and his first delivery's been smashed. Look at that. Look at Sally Malik rolling back the years with that beautiful lofted straight drive. Percy Fender with a little loosener there. Just loosening those shoulders. I think he's distracted by his own theme music. 6 runs. Number of the beat. And he comes Percy Fender once again, and this time, another humongous 6 from Sally Malik down the ground. Fantastic. He's in control. He likes this length here from Percy Fender, and he's going after him. Another 6.
2 6s in a row. 2 6s in a row. 2 6s in a row.
Nicely done. Percy Fender, what can he do with his 3rd delivery? And he's been hit for 4 this time. Similar sort of shot, but just 1 bounce into the fence this time. Trafford is a big ground to clear, and Sally Malik is of advanced years, so he gets it well, but just for a 4. Yes, indeed. What can Mr. Fender do? He's really struggling. He's been hit for all sorts in this over. This time he'll be glad to see the back of Sally Malik, who takes 3 to mid-wicket and brings Shakib Hassan on strike. Mr. Fender, they're not related to the guitar manufacturing company. And he comes this time. Oh my word! Shakib Hassan has joined in on this act. He's hit a huge 6 as well. Down the ground, big 6. Yeah, well, he might have to look into buying guitar, like guitar salesmanship or something, because he's really struggling here. But Mr. Fender, he's been smacked all over the place, and he ends his over with a 3 runs to Shakib Hassan this time. Let's just say he went for a reverse sweep and got 3. And I believe that is the end of the over.
Should have started with
What did that
Devon
go for?
tone.
Yeah, how many did that go for, Jules? That over? Way too
So
many.
that over went for 28. The score is currently 73 for 5 off 5 overs.
Well,
And
I
Malik is on 25 off 6 balls.
Wow, not a good tactical switch on my part there, or rather on the part of Clive Lloyd, who's channeling my thoughts for the fielding. So I think it's time for a bit of slow left arm wizardry. The man immortalised by Lord Beginner in the Victory Calypso. It's going to be Alf Valentine.
Coming up, this is the time, the image of a man
Alf Valentine bowling to
Al Hassan.
yeah, Shakib Al Hassan on strike to Alf Valentine. Alf to Al Hassan. I like it. It sounds like a radio message as that first ball has been hit for two runs, 2 into the covers. Shakib will keep the strike, and Alf will run in, and this time the ball has been hit for 4. Oh god, so close. It was aerial. It was very aerial as it went through the covers, and there was a big diving effort from one of the chaps in the bespectacled 11, but he dived the wrong way, and it went for 4 more runs.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
In comes Alf once more, and this time it has been hit for another 4 in identical fashion, this time going the other side of that point fielder. My word, he's playing games with him right now, Shakib.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And in comes the bottom one, and another boundary. Oh, boundaries are raining for Al Hassan.
The number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
It is indeed Shakib Al Hassan. Look at that, bringing his team back into action. In comes Alf once again, and oh, there's a big appeal this time. There's a big appeal. This is the first time for a while, and it's been caught. Oh, well, finally, that fielder at point dives in the right direction, and he manages to catch it in his armpit. Oh my word, extraordinary scenes. But after all that pounding, Alf has taken the wicket, and Al Hassan has to go.
Somebody say something?
Oh, sorry, I thought we were still going.
Who's coming to bat?
Shakib is gone. Yeah, no, it was a good innings, that good little cameo knock, but it will bring to the crease another man capable of many dangerous things. It's Marlon Samuels.
Oh, he's got a great jingle.
Chaka, chaka, chaka,
He
chaka,
ignored
chaka,
all
chaka,
the bowling
chaka,
manuals.
chaka.
Marlon Samuels.
Outstanding, one of the greatest jingles of all time. He is on strike. He's probably facing up. Oh, was that the end of the over? The last ball.
1 ball left, I think.
Oh, 1 to come. I beg your pardon. 1 to come. Marlon Samuels is marking up his guard very aggressively. In comes the delivery, and he's worked that away nicely. Marlon starts with a decent little cut into the leg side, gets himself 3. That ends the over, and I shall refrain from giving the wrong score.
So the score after 6 overs is 19 for 6, and Valentine went for 17 off his first over.
But he did take a wicket, bless him. Yes, now, Mog was saying Jules or Mark Long. So obviously you're incognito today, Jules. Grubby says, Tony Bishop... Oh, Grubby's tweeted earlier says he looks like Alan Cork, not Alistair Cook. So, I don't know how I got that wrong. Or nonetheless, Knuckles saying Tony misreading Srinath and Alan Cork as Alistair Cook, showing precisely why he got to have the tenure of ownership for the bespectacled can't see their way out of a paper bag 11.
Hold on. It's Sri Sant, isn't it?
Sri Sant, yes.
Okay, because you said Srinath and Srinath.
Yes, I'm getting them confused. I think that was Knuckles' point.
Oh yeah.
Come on, people. Come on.
Due apparently because of my
spectacles.
Poor prescription. Linux Leah says, yeah, Tony's Twitter app sometimes seems to omit the latter parts of tweets, so he didn't even see the hussy bit. Oh Lord, you're right, Linux Leah, it does. I have to click on a link. I will do that next time. Mog says, can we get Atif on more? I do like the way he grooves to the jingles. There you go. See?
There you go.
I need to find you a bowler, don't I, for the next over?
Yep.
And I think we might just ask Percy to go and have a blow after that unmitigated disaster. And we are going to stick with a bit of slow left arm, actually. The man who gets paid in lamb chops from Northamptonshire, David Steele's going to whirl his arm.
Doesn't matter that he's great or he's specky, cause he can play. It's David Steele. It's David Steele.
Yeah, that grooving was just for you, Mog. Okay, Marlon Samuels now on strike to David Steele, who comes in, and there's a big appeal first ball. Well, what will happen there? And he's not ball. No ball. David Steele has overstepped the mark. No ball. First extra of the innings. Is there a free hit in play? I'm just checking.
No free hit.
No free hit. Just worth checking. Obviously, the batsman wants to be sure. Anyway, the next delivery. It doesn't matter. He's gone after it like it's a free hit anyway, and he smashed that. David Steele's been just bewildered right now because how did he hit that ball flat bat behind the wicketkeeper over his head for 6? Yes, indeed, it was 6. Marlon Samuels on 9 now. He's on strike. In comes Steele. What can he do this time? And he just works him away comfortably round the corner for a little single to the 45 fielder. Now David Steele gets to have a little crack at Salim Malik, who's been left off strike for quite some time. He's finally back on strike. And his first delivery, oh my word, he's hit it for a 9. No, wait, it's a 6. The 6 is smashed over mid-wicket for a huge 6.
Well, and that 6 brings 100 up, so the Naughty Boy Nets are on 104 for 6 in their 6.3 overs.
Right, getting back to a respectable total here. In comes Malik. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. It's Steele who's been worked for a single by Malik. Just one. And in comes Steele once more, and this time, oh, that's a lovely shot, isn't it? Just gorgeous. You love to see it, just slicing it like Roger Federer if he played cricket and hit the ball sideways instead of in front of him. 4 runs.
There's not one boy for me, I must have 2 or 3, I need 4.
That was Marlon Samuels with the boundary, sorry. And one to come, Marlon Samuels on strike, and he finishes the over with a 2. A nice little 2. And that completes the over. A fruitful one for the Nets.
Whilst Jules works out the score, Durban Oak says this seems to be well below the Dice Cricket par score of 240. Well, yes, but I think there's a good chance that the tail may wag for the Naughty Boys. Mog says champagne grooving indeed, in acknowledgement of the bedroom moves of Atif.
That's a very hypnotic head wiggle there, and we've got 111 for 6 after 7 overs. Steele's over went for 21.
And we're going to ask Alf Valentine to carry on. He did get punted for 17, but nonetheless he did take a wicket, so we're going to persist with him.
Yep, Alf to continue. He's going to be bowling to Salim Malik, who's on strike, who's been the best of the bat so far, and he continues to show why with a gorgeous covered drive. It's raced along the ground all the way to the fence for one of these.
4.
Yes, indeed, 4. Salim Malik still remains on strike. In comes Alf Valentine, and oh my word, how is this gonna be Valentine's Day? It might be, because he's got him LBW. Well, Salim Malik has played a blinder, but his innings has come to an end with a gorgeous delivery. Just nips back in off the seam or the surface or something, or maybe a 50 pence point. Anyway, it struck him bang in front. Malik is gone. Wicket is fallen out. Yeah, gone for sure. He managed to Salim Malik. Well, the extra knock there, he managed to get.
Come on, Jules, help him out.
Can I have a new batter? And I can tell you because I'm on my screen, so I'm waiting for a new batter.
Oh, right.
We got Chris Lewis as the new batsman.
Sorry?
Lewis.
Chris Lewis.
Okay.
But we're never gonna get a cocaine unless we call him Chris Lewis.
Yeah, it's the man who will probably never get to go to Dubai. It's Chris Lewis who comes to the crease.
Well, I want to go.
Yeah, just an acknowledgement of that knock from Salim Malik, who managed to score a wonderful innings of
36 of 10 balls, including 2 4s and 4 6s.
Nice. That's what he was known for back in the day, T20 cricket in the 1980s. So anyway, in comes Alf Valentine, bowling to Chris Lewis now, who's on strike, and his first delivery, and there's a big appeal, first ball. Oh my word, big appeal, and he's been stumped. Oh my word, Chris Lewis is beside himself, probably because he hasn't hung out with his friend from Northamptonshire for a few weeks, but also because he's been stumped first ball, and Alf Valentine is on a hat-trick.
Now you're gone.
Yeah, indeed. Another beautiful piece of glove work there from Dick Young. And Valentine, yeah, he's on a hat-trick right now. To face the hat-trick delivery, we're going to have Mohammad Asif come to the crease. Yes, Mohammad Asif, who spent a lot of time at Trent Bridge, obviously. He was very successful there. Not as successful at institutions like the Southwark Crown Court and Fulton Young Offenders Institute. And he comes to the crease anyway. Mohammad Asif is facing up to Alf Valentine, who's on a hat-trick. What can he do with his hat-trick? Ball! Oh! Has he got his hat-trick? Has he got a hat-trick? Oh,
come on!
Down!
Yes!
Valentine takes a hat-trick. Wow, Mohammad Asif has been...
Lovely cricket.
Unbelievable scenes here at Trent Bridge. The crowd is climbing onto Alf Valentine. We're going to try and get the spectators off the pitch. You listen to the music. Well, that special hat-trick from Alf Valentine has put the Naughty Boy Nets on their knees. But with only one batsman remaining, the final batsman to come to the crease is Canaria.
Danish Canaria, he's not superior. He doesn't even come from Denmark. He'll be forever known as Match Fixer.
Oh man, I could totally groove to Match Fixer. My word, they're in a lot of trouble here right now. Naughty Boy Nets, they've got to do something here. Canaria on strike. Valentine has got 3 from 3. Can he get 4 from 4? A lot of pressure on. In he comes. Valentine. He might get 4 from 4. He might get 4 from 4. We've got a big appeal. What's going to happen? Oh! Wow. I mean, that was a superb effort, a 4 and a 4 ball, but Valentine, well. Remember the name because he might not. Alf Valentine. He's thankfully for the Naughty Boy. Oh, he's still got 1 ball to come. He can still get 4 in the over. And he comes. He bowls. And he's been worked away for 3 by Danish Canaria. Top edge there, which just flies over the head of the keeper, and he has to go chasing it. And eventually they cut it off. 3 runs to Canaria, and a bit of respite for the Naughty Boy Nets as Alf Valentine takes a bow as he walks over to that Trent Bridge pavilion, and as the crowd cheers. Wonderful.
Well, the victory.
So that Valentine over went for 7 runs. There was 3 wickets in it. So he's for his 2 overs, 24 off 4, and overall the score is 118 for 9 wickets after 8 overs.
Nakul Pandey says Marlon Samuels showing, and this is obviously we've skipped a few tweets here and gone back in time. Marlon Samuels showing the value of a number 8, Gary Naylor, a position where he has an international batting average of infinity, apparently. What else are we saying? Linux Lear says I can see exactly how this will play out. Atif's team makes about 15 more runs, then every appeal, and then this is where I have to wait because it disappears off to another part of Twitter. You have to keep your tweets shorter. No, I can't wait for it. It's going to take too long. I'll try and come back to it later. Moggs, disturbing lack of no balls today. Have you got the rest of that tweet?
No, I haven't, but I assume that's what it's about. It's about the no balls. Everyone assumes that I cheat.
Well, no, I certainly don't think you're cheating today. We'll wait and see what happens when I'm batting. Durban Oak says, everyone remembers David Steele. I wish people would remember his brother John Steele. Quite right. Mogg says, karma being visited upon the naughty boys from the righteous hand of Alf Valentine. Diana Patterson, hello Diana, says, well, there is some weird stuff happening in this match. I suppose it's not surprising. And no, you're probably right, Diana. All kinds of weird things happen. So, bowling change. Let me see. That was inspired by Clive Lloyd to give Alf a second over. David Steele wasn't quite so impressive, was he? Percy Fender was an absolute disaster. I've got 1 wicket to take. I've conferred with Clive Lloyd. He was shaking and having just got out of the back of Bear's car. But once he'd collected himself, he is going to say, bring Devon back. So that's what we're going to do.
Well, Devon Malcolm back into the attack. Are we having a jingle again?
Devon,
Yeah.
Malcolm Devon, and his neck so small that you can hardly see. And in '94 the ciphers fell one by one.
We'll fade it out.
Nice. Well, Devon Malcolm now comes into bowl to Marlon Samuel. Oh, sorry, Danish Canaria. And Danish Canary has hit him for a 6. This is so bizarre. What an unusual state of play. My phone's gone off. Everything's happening here at Trent Bridge. In any case, 6 runs for Danish Canary.
You came out of your hand and into my zone. Now it's up in the stands. It's a 6. It's beautiful and it's mine.
I mean, try getting that in when there's an international game in progress. In comes... oh, there's another one. Let's hear it again.
No. It's a long one. It's a test match. It's a test match 6.
Oh, that's awesome. The Canaria getting some crucial runs. Every run here crucial right now. Well, this might be the end of them as there's a big appeal. And LBW, well, little cameo from Canaria comes to an end. 2 6s, and Devon Malcolm has cleaned up the last player. Well, there's an LBW. It's same sort of difference. It doesn't really matter. Malcolm has the wicket. Is the end of the Naughty Boy Nets. And, well, the bespectacled 11 have really turned up today. But can they keep their eyes on the prize?
I won't look back, 'cause by the time that I do, you'll be gone.
What was the grand total then? Or the not so grand total, but still needs to be chased.
Hey, it's got to be chased. It was 130 all out.
Wow.
Do you want to run through of the players' scores?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go on
then.
then.
Yeah.
So, the leather jacket hero that is Hansi Konya was out second ball without scoring any runs. Azharuddin got 12 runs from 6 balls. Alan Mann, he also got a lovely big duck. Lee Vincent went for 11 of 5 balls. Top scorer was Malik, he got 36 of 10, which included 2 4s and 3 6s. Akmal, he got 13 of 5. Saqib Al Hassan, 26 from 10 balls. Marlon Samuels got 16 from 6. Chris Lewis, he was out for a duck, as was Asif in that magical over by Valentine. And finally, we have Danish Canaria, who was out LBW for 15.
Yep, few tweets and stuff. Linux Lear says, Jeff Perkins says, Guerrilla Cricket barefaced audacity of it all. Linux Lear says, I don't think that the bear cheats. I think that Hansi sold the match. Knuckle Pandy says, what cockamamie Twitter reading device is Tony using that only shows him part of tweets? Look at that piece of scoring. It is, Knuckle, a very old iPad. Durban Oak says, David Steele did bowl in tests and has an outstanding average of 19.5. Yes, he does. He is a very decent bowler. Bowled a lot for Northampton.
Valentine's averages.
I can tell you that in just a moment. Jeff Perkins says they usually can't afford him these days. Praise the coronavirus for these appearances. I think he's talking about you there, Atif. Diana Patterson says, what you missed. I think a dice cut might improve fairness over those fat fingers. Yeah, there's also, I don't know if anyone else has noticed it, but the bear's shaking hand in shadow form looks decidedly iffy when you see it over the plate. Mog,
I have to do that. That's how you know that I'm going to roll the ball's coming in.
Well, that's your story, and I'm sure you're going to want to stick to it.
Hey,
not the plate,
Jesus Christ.
the story.
That's it. I'm cutting the broadcast. We're out. We're off.
Mog also says, There's Nawaz, a silver lining. There's Nawaz, a silver lining. Got it. There you are. You are the silver lining. Fantastic. Well, quick reminder. 130 all out, 131 to chase for the bespectacled Giants. Atif, do you think you're a little bit south of where you wanted to be there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, having been on the other end of this kind of performance, well, you never know. You just never know which way the dice are going to go. Like sometimes they roll, sometimes. I think law of averages suggests that you're going to get the better end of this, but I don't know. Listen, strange things happen when you PayPal people who roll dice a certain amount of money. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, it's true. What I will say is, statistically, the last couple of games have been quite high scoring. So statistically, to normalise it out, we're going to get a couple of low thrillers. Could be the day.
Could be the day. Let's have your batting lineup, Tony.
My lot only made it onto the field because someone had put one of those knobbly pavements down from the pavilion to the pitch. So I think anything could happen. I'm just going to give you a couple of tweets before we go. No, I'm not. I was going to remind you that, or everyone listening, everyone still listening, that we are partnered with the amazing charity JDRF, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, who do incredible work to prevent, cure and do research into juvenile type 1 diabetes. If you are able to support us, please do go to our Just Giving page. Details are all over our social media feeds. If you give £15 or more, 50% of that automatically goes to support the amazing work of JDRF, and the balance goes to send bear's fingers to Weight Watchers.
Fuck you.
Anyway, we shall move forward. My opening batsman, I can tell you, striding somewhat hesitantly to the crease, is the Prince of Yorkshire, none other than Sir Geoffrey Boycott. And supporting him, and won't be taking strike, is the man from South Africa, right-handed, right-arm medium bowler, but with his right-hand batting we're interested in. Man, formerly of Derbyshire, Eddie Barlow. So Boycott and Barlow.
Right.
For the bish, all the bees.
I reckon
and who have you got bowling there, Atif?
We're going to start with Chris Lewis.
Okay, I'm going to play a couple of jingles. Hold on.
Boix. Could have hit that with a stick of rhubarb. Boix. My mum could have caught that in a penny. Boix. He's no more brains than a pork pie. Boix. Add 2 wickets to the score.
Yes, it is. So Chris Lewis is bowling from the pavilion end. He's bowling to Geoffrey Boycott. Boycott, in uncharacteristically belligerent fashion, slams this away through the covers for 4 runs. He stands ready to face again. Chris Lewis won't like that. He's up to the crease and he bowls, and Boycott just steps back, pulls, top edges it a little bit. It's over square leg and it's all the way into the stand for one of these.
Yeah, it was there, Tone.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
You know, your eyesight going. You sure these ones aren't ear trumpet 11 too, mate? Jesus.
I could take charge of them quite happily. Deaf and blind. Can I have the daft 11 as well?
Yeah.
Deaf, blind and daft. I'll have all 3. Oh, and this one nips back. Lewis is big shout, and would you believe it? He's overstepped the line. You cannot overstep the line. Well, Geoffrey Boycott thought he was a goner there. His head was in his hands. But he lives to fight another day, as in comes Lewis, and Boycott just tickles this. They take 1. Are they going to come back for 2? Boycott's running is notoriously dodgy at Trent Bridge, but they have. They've managed to take that second. Keeps Geoffrey happily on strike. And he's going to face Chris Lewis once again, and Boycott this time just sweeps this majestically off his legs. There's no point in chasing that. Who is the fielder that's gone jogging after it? It was Lou Vincent, but he might as well give that up. It's slammed into that white picket fencing for 4 more runs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1 ball left of this over. Big shout, Lewis. Has he got the Boyks this time? He has. Boycott got just too big for his boots, and I'm afraid this time he has to go. He has gone for quite a few. What did he go for, Jules?
How's that? You missed about, I caught you out. How's that?
So he went for 16 of his 5 balls, which includes 2 4s and 1 6. And my mistake, you have 1 more ball left in this over as well.
Okay. Well, coming to the crease then, now that Sir Geoffrey has departed at number 3, man who bowled pretty tidily too, from what I recall, from all the way from Bradley in Staffordshire, played for many years for Derbyshire, then Leicestershire and Northamptonshire. Strangely, his nickname for some reason was Crime. I have no idea why. It's David Steele.
Doesn't matter that he's great or he's specky, cause he can play. It's David Steele. It's David Steele.
Yes, indeed. The man described by the Sun's Clive Taylor as the bank clerk who went to war, which makes him sound like Captain Mannering. And he's facing this, and he's going to take the strike as well. Geoffrey wouldn't have liked that. Eddie Barlow is not going to like that. He hasn't had a face the ball yet, and he's not going to be able to either, because this has just been pulled up short of the long leg boundary. But they are going to take 3, and it will keep David Steele on the strike.
And at the end of the first over, the score is 20-1.
So, Asif, who have you got next?
I think we're going to mix it up a little bit. I think we need to chuck a bit of spin in there. So because if you notice, the team is mostly spinners anyway. So no, we're not. Double bluff. The ball was in Canaria's hand. He's thrown it to Asif. Let's go. Off cut legend Mohammed Asif. Let's see it.
Okay.
Mohammed Asif, he's really suspicious. Mohammed Asif, and every ball. Not only did he get done for stopping sitting just so scared of you couldn't leave him on his own.
Could have had a Mohammed Amir in here as well, of course, couldn't you?
Yeah, but he's reformed. I don't know. I feel like he's moved on from all that stuff. Whereas Asif is playing cricket in Norway, destroying club cricket because it doesn't seem fair.
Jesus, what did he get? What's his average? About 5.2 or something.
I know, it's something ridiculous like that. It just doesn't seem fair.
No, that's not at all. Anyway, let's go.
Well, he had a best. Well, he's bowling, and I'll tell you in a moment. And 2, David Steele has, in quite conservative fashion there, has just lent the bat on this, pushed it away into the onside. They've taken 1, they run back for 2. And we seem to face Mohammed Asif again. Mohammed Asif, and this time David Steele more expansive, steps back, pulls all the way to square leg. It's 4 more.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
Wheels Asif again. Going to make Eddie Barlow's having to do a bit of running. He will finally get to 2-3. This one is away for 3. It was pushed back down the ground, and they were able to take 3 against a fairly sluggish bit of fielding from the naughty boys. And Asif is in, and Eddie Barlow, who's clearly been bottling up the frustration of being the non-striker for so long, has just slammed this back over Asif's head into the pavilion for 1 of these. Asif's in again, and this time it is cut backward of point, but there's a man running round from third man, and it's hauled up short of the mark by, in fact, the captain, Hansi Kronya. And they're going to cut down a tree outside my house, so I'm now struggling to hear what anyone is saying. Okay, that was 3.
The joys of the internet.
Just as well. Jules is using sign language, not helpful for a blind man, but there we go.
Oh.
And this, I think, is slapped away again for 4 by who was that? Was that Barlow?
Yeah, it was Barlow.
That was Eddie Barlow, not Eddie Shoestring, Eddie Barlow. And away for 4 it goes. So what's the score at the end of that over, Jules? It's a man with a leaf blower.
42 for 1. And I hope
how much, sorry?
Right. 42 for 1.
42 for 1 as the leaf blowing man continues his work outside my window. So, who's going to bowl next, Atif?
We're going to stick with Chris Lewis for now.
You're going to stick with, well, they're all naughty boys, Chris Lewis, and he's going to be bowling to who, Jules?
He is going to be bowling to Mr. Barlow.
Eddie Barlow himself, nicknamed Bunter, of course.
Would you consider Chris Lewis the biggest criminal of them all?
He got the longest sentence.
I mean, like, he did get a bit, but like, when I don't know, I have moral issues against that. But that, listen, we'll have a debate about that another time.
Yeah, there were circumstances with Lewis. He's not the biggest criminal of that lot.
Also, he's a Wembley boy. He's like one of my local cricket club people.
Well, exactly. Hey.
Claremont Christopher Lewis, to give him his full name. And he's going to be in to Eddie Barlow. And Eddie Barlow, well, he stepped back and that one's thumped him on the pad. And in fact, he's been stumped. So remarkably, it went off the pad, up into the wicketkeeper's gloves, bounced back onto the stumps, and I'm afraid Eddie Barlow has to go. He's gone.
Now you're gone.
Yep. How many did he go for? Not that many, sadly.
I need a new batter, and I can tell you.
Right, your new batter is going to be Pakistan legend, a good boy rather than a bad boy of Pakistan. It is Zahir Abbas, dubbed once the Asian Bradman.
Used to bat with his glasses on, Zahir Abbas, but never stopped him from scoring runs. Zahir Abbas, he's the Asian Bradman on a run machine. Zahir Abbas, Mr. President of the ICC. He's Zahir Abbas.
Like that.
I just want to I was just chatting to him on WhatsApp yesterday.
That is the ultimate name drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to phone Dick Young, but no one answered, bizarrely. We'll move on. So, who was bowling? I've forgotten.
Chris Lewis.
Chris Lewis! Of course it was. Claremont Christopher Lewis is going to be bowling to the Asian Bradman himself, the man who was yesterday on the blower to, not the leaf blower, the telephone, the dog and bone, to Atif Nawaz. Best mates they are now, without a doubt. And he's good in trouble first ball. That's how good of mates they really are. That's what the phone call was about. That phone call was effective. Zahir Abbas has basically just stood there and watched the ball onto his pads. Clearly, in a highly dodgy set of circumstances, my opponent has actually admitted phoning the batsman, and that batsman has just left the ball, first delivery, to get himself out for a duck. I demand the ICC have a close look at that and perhaps check the phone records and recordings for Mr. Atif Nawaz, because something skullduggerous has occurred.
Well, as the referee in all situations here, I have to say it's completely fair. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever.
He is, I suppose, the president and commander-in-chief of the naughty boys. What would you expect?
The brown envelope was well received.
Nefarious naughtiness. Anyway, Lennox Lear says Boycott has hit more. He's gone now, but Boycott has hit more sixes in tests than in ODIs, which is exactly nil. Lennox Lear also said in the pavilion, Hansy's furious for something that he to take his anger out on. Mog says probably should have used a Ouija board rather than an iPhone. Tony, yes, in my attempts to get hold of Dick Young. Again, you want to say that in the right order. And Jeff Perkins says Atif throwing himself under a bus there.
Oh, boom, boom.
Hey! Yeah, Perkins, that needed a drum roll. Anyway, is Chris Lewis continuing? He is, I suppose. Yes, of course he is.
We
need a batter.
Batsman. The next batsman is going to be a man that everybody seemed to like. Don't ask me why. MJK Smith from Wedcote near Leicester. 50 tests he played. Scored 2,278 runs.
Every team needs a Mike Smith. It's a pretty common name though. So you can call him MJK.
How is it Mike Smith
19.
confused with Mike Watkinson?
Very different.
Very different, I know. One was really shit. Anyway.
Yes, probably this one, but there we go. 19 years he played for Warwickshire, did MJK Smith. Fred Truman said, well, anyway, we'll wait for that because my MJK doesn't want to hear my story. He wants to get off the mark, and he has done. He's pushed this away to mid-wicket and will get 2 runs for his trouble.
Come on. Oh.
This one is thumped massively away for 6 by MJK Smith, who clearly is in the mood. So he got up his sleeve at this time. Oh, just a single. Drops the bat on it. They run through for a very well taken 1. Which I believe is it David Steele?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's David Steele, and they're now going to work this naughty boy field, who probably are going to be sweating a little bit with too much beer and other recreational substances. So they are going to have to get that ball in. They do. It's another single.
And that is the end of the 3rd over, and it's 52 for 3.
Well, it means David Steele will keep the strike. And who is he going to be facing, Atif?
We need to take wickets, and we need to take them quickly, so I need to do something really drastic here. We're getting Marlon Samuels in.
Ooh.
Marlon Samuels, will we salute you for that selection?
I love Marlon.
Everybody loves a bit of Marlon. Mog says, pretty sure you could use the iPhone to get young Dick through, though there's probably an app for it. You may be thinking of Grinder, I suspect. Anakal Pandy says, here today, he's a gone tomorrow. Oh, very good, Mog says. Oh, that's a very wrong MJK Smith jingle. It's awful. Okay. Well, anyway, I forgot. David Steele. Has David Steele got the strike there? He does, doesn't he? Yes, because he took that little single. Who's he facing?
Marlon Samuels.
Oh, he's facing Marlon Samuels. Well, Samuels is going to be bustling in to David Steele, and David Steele wastes no time in elegantly just pushing this between cover and extra cover. There is a man chasing it, and it will be pulled up short of the rope. It's gone for 3.
Come on, Nige, put your wrist into it.
Well, he does put a little bit of wrist into it, not enough though, and David Steele, it's the wrist work off camera that's troubling me. That's just a single, and it's another 3. These two are they're rotating the strike quite magnificently.
Oh boy.
All the people on YouTube can see that it's all above board, people.
In comes Marlon, and Marlon may have got his man this time. There's a huge shot. Are we going to see the Samuel salute? We are! The catch is taken. The wicket has fallen, and I'm just trying to work out who did it. Who took the catch there, Atif?
The catch was taken by, let's say Mohammad Azruddin, because he's all right. Why not?
Mohammad Azruddin.
Yes,
indeed.
Cover.
Well, there you go. I've just found his little team now. The next Leah says, Malinga loves bouncing at Marlon. Does that count? Count for what? I'm not sure. I've lost the track. But anyway, so Marlon still bowling? Got a couple
yeah, so who did he get? Did he got David Steele? How many did David Steele get?
No, he didn't get David Steele.
He got Smith, sorry.
He got MJK. Yes, he did. They were rotating the strike so much, it was easy to lose track.
We need another batter to figure that out, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes, and I can tell you who it's going to be. There, it's your mate.
Who?
A man still shaking from the nervous.
My very gracious
tension.
passenger, Mr. Clive Lloyd.
It's the man himself. remember stories of Wimbledon, of course, haunt poor old Clive Lloyd. Didn't he go there with his girlfriend and then his wife saw him on the telly?
Yeah.
No.
I heard that story.
No.
So
But
he should have made the bad boys team, but there we go.
I met his ex-wife and she was very nice. And they get on all right, so you know.
She speaks highly of you too.
Yeah. She made good food too. Great.
Well, anyway, Sir Clive is going to be facing Marlon Samuels. There's an all West Indian setup here.
What did Mr. Smith get?
10.
10.
10 double figures, not enough. A little bit of a wobble here, and Sir Clive is going to try and put things to rights straight away in typical fashion. He's pulled this through square leg all the way for 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Final
This
ball.
time he's done it again. 2 skips down the ground, and this time through the covers. Away for 4 it goes. 8 off 2 balls. Prime. Terrific play from Clive. Is that the end of the over?
That is the end of the over.
Right,
So
it might be.
4 overs, making a spectacle of themselves, are 67 for 4.
It's by no means won and lost this game. We've seen how quickly things can turn around, how rapidly wickets can fall when tossed in that direction by the bear. David Steele still on strike then, looking to be the rock upon which the victory is hopefully ultimately built. Who's he going to face, Atif?
We're gonna get. You know what? Let's get Hansi Cronje bowling.
Ooh, that's
Hansi's going
brave.
to have a bowl. Well, he took a fair few. What did he take? Took 43 test wickets with the best of 3 for 14.
Yep.
So he wasn't no mug with the ball, as they say.
Let's have his jingle.
Where'd you get that jacket, Hansi Cronje? I hope you didn't sell your soul to get it. Don't catch any planes now, Hansi Cronje. I hear they fall from the sky a lot.
There you go.
Harsh.
Did once talk about how Satan entered his world. Did Hansi, being a born-again Christian. So at the moment, who's facing his world? It's going to be David Steele. David Steele is looming large in his world at the moment. And David Steele, quite dismissive, he just steps down the track, bunts it back over Hansi's head, and it's all the way into that pavilion. Said he had an unfortunate love of money, Hansi, amongst his other excuses. And David Steele again has got a very fortunate love of Hansi's bowling, because this one is top edged a little bit. It's gone over long leg, it's gone way over long leg and over the boundary rope as well. 6 more.
2 6s in a row. 2 6s in a row. 2 6s in a row.
Wasn't he involved with Max Clifford as well at some point, Hansi?
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Well, in he comes, and only half as many this time for the belligerent David Steele, who's hit 2 6s, but this one is not going to make it all the way to the boundary. It's pulled up just short by Shakib Al Hassan, and they will take 3. But this next one, David Steele doesn't like those 3s. He gets back to in the groove as he swallops this for a maximum 6.
Let's say if it was Clive Lloyd.
Oh, of course it was. I have done Sir Clive a huge disservice.
Come on, Nige.
So what has the bear got? What has Hansi got? What has Sir Clive got?
Ooh.
And Sir Clive
Tried.
has cut this imperiously. 4-4. It's 4 more to the score. Sir Clive's on fire. Hansi is going to be his leather jacket's just looking a bit shoddy.
His leather jacket's full, man. It's looking a bit bulky on him, is what I
That's
say.
probably what it is. It's too much in the pockets.
Yeah.
It's a bit out of shape. In comes Cronje again, but he may have his man this time, and it's none other than Sir Clive Lloyd, and it's given as a no ball. Well, it would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I can't give him out with a no ball.
Over the line! Huh? I'm
sorry, Smokey, you were over the line. That's a foul.
Clive Lloyd's glasses are glinting, but behind them there is a happy smile. He knows he's probably got away with something there. In comes Hansi again, looking slightly furtive. But Clive Lloyd doesn't care. Back down the track he comes. Over Hansi's head it goes. All the way in the air, over the boundary. 6 more.
And that's the end of the over. So after 5 overs, we're on the magic of 99 for 4.
99 for 4, but we've seen how wickets can tumble in this game. David Steele, I think this time, will be on strike, but who's he facing, Atty?
Let's get... I tell you what, let's get Chris Lewis back in. Let's can't mess about.
Okay. Let's not mess about. Chris Lewis it's going to be. You've used him so many times, I keep reshuffling him in my notes so I lose track of where he's gone. Here he is. Here he is. Best bowling of 6 for 111 versus the West Indies at Edgbaston. Returned to play for Surrey when he was 40, didn't he, Chris Lewis? Although from recollection that did not go particularly well. But he's going to be bowling to the Butcher's favourite batsman, David Steele. And he may just have him here. And indeed he has feathered through to the wicketkeeper, and the wicketkeeper Umar Akmal. And I'm afraid David Steele has gone, and they are very much still in this game, the bad boys.
After you've gone.
Nakul Pandey tells us that Marlon Samuels is apparently now a perfumier.
Oh, nice. What's the fragrance?
Do you believe that? His fragrance pour homme pour femme sextillion. So how Nakul knows that, I don't know. Maybe he's doused himself in it during lockdown.
Does it
Eau de
work?
Marlon. Whenever his lovely lady says to him, Nakul, that smells interesting. What is it? It's Eau de Marlon. Sextillion, darling. Anyway, all right. You're going to want to know who comes in next, aren't you?
Yeah.
Or indeed I am, because I'm supposed to be commentating, aren't I? David Steele's gone anyway, sadly.
He got 38 off 11 balls,
Well,
including 2 4s and 2 6s.
Uncharacteristically unflinching in his the way he dealt with pace bowling. But we are going to see the man born in 1885 from Dharwad in India. Died, though, apparently in Hastings. Actually not that long after the battle, given how old he is. He also played association football. One of very few wicketkeepers to wear glasses. It is Dick Young. And in the words of the famous Harry on Dick. Dick Young is going to be facing Chris Lewis, and Lewis is in, and Dick Young straight away just whips this off his legs behind square, and it's away for 4.
I misheard you for a second. I thought you said Dick Young strokes, and I was like, no.
Terrible.
Well, he's going to be facing Chris Lewis, and again, this one, it looks for a similar shot, but this time it's Marlon Samuels who thought he was going out to that mid-wicket boundary for breather, but he has to come in and stop that well short of the fence. They only take 2. Dick Young moves on to 6. As in comes Lewis, and Dick Young this time slaps this away. It's the inside out shot over extra cover, and it's gone all the way for 6. Alright, Dickie, what's wrong?
Sorry.
Are you okay there?
I'm so silly. Sorry, don't worry.
You can't help it. It's
absolutely fine. He only ever played
humour.
2 tests. Only ever played 2 tests, did Dick Young, but he averaged nearly 29 with the bat and 1100s in first class cricket.
Dick
So he
Young
knows
was
his
the shorter form.
the more youthful. He was better in his youth. Was Richard. Anyway, he's ready. He is ready to face Chris Lewis, and Chris Lewis may have him. This It's fine. It's given us a no ball again. You probably could have seen that coming. Overstepping illegally.
I'm sorry, Smokey. You're over the line. That's a foul.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It comes back to haunt the naughty boys, this history of nefariousness. And Dick Young, well, he's not going to mess around. He's got his chance, and now he's going to take it. He's slapped this way through square leg football.
The way you get shot for crossing the boundary.
He also played as an outside right for Corinthians and was cap for England at football, was Dick Young. So he's a real all-rounder. He's got one ball left to face from Chris Lewis. And he's not going to try and take the strike. This one he just pushes to a long off where Mohamed Asif is fielding. Asif throws the ball back, but they're not before they've taken 2. Concludes that over, Jules?
It is after 6 overs. They are 118 for 5.
Linux Lear tells me, or us indeed, that the perfume thing is on his Wikipedia page. So it is in the public domain. Knuckle just hasn't gone around to sort of Boots and every other chemist he can find hunting down Eau de Marlon. It's apparently a well-known fact. And Knuckle says, my partner really does not like colognes. Okay, well, what other German teams has she been watching, as that's the only football anyone can find at the moment? Mog says, Dick Young could certainly go a lot harder and longer in his youth. I will just let that one hang there. As indeed did Dick. But there we go. Right. Boom, boom. Oh dear. Right, who's facing?
Who's bowling, you mean?
Well, I want to know who's facing, and then I want to know who's bowling.
Well, facing is Clive Lloyd, and bowling to Clive Lloyd is...
It's who, Matty?
We're gonna get... Let's get Alan Lamb. Let's get Lammy in there. Let's get
Lammy! Alan Lamb. Only ever took 1 test wicket, Alan Lamb. Just the one. And it was Manoj Prabhakar, who we got LBW for 21. It's the only wicket of the second innings as India got to 29 to 1 to secure a draw in that particular game. So 1 test wicket to his name. Took a few in first class cricket though. 8 in total. So he's an interesting choice, Atif. And well, wouldn't you just know it, Sir Clive is no respecter of Alan Lamb. And meaterly Lamb is belted back over his head for 6 runs.
Just 7 required.
7 required. Clive Lloyd is there with Dick Young. All but it's not over until the fat lady sings. Stumped. Well, Alan Lamb, I shouldn't have been laughing at his bowling because he's done the trick for the naughty boys, and Sir Clive has to go. He's not going to see his team home here. Goodness me. Which will bring to the crease the man we've immortalised in our theme tune, the man who took a hat-trick his last time out, although he bowled like an absolute drain today. Percy Fender only started wearing glasses.
Percy Fender.
Well, can he see the bespectacled 11 over the line against the demon bowling of Alan Lamb? Well, he's got 3, and they're going to run. Yes, they do. They do. It was pulled up short of the fence by Chris Lewis, but he had to stop to put on some sun cream. Otherwise, I think they may have got away with 2 there. But 3 it is. Brings Dick back onto strike, and Dick Young could be in trouble here. He's been bowled by Alan Lamb. This game is not over. We've seen stranger things happen. Alan Lamb is dancing a jig of delight. And well. Alan Lamb is taking wickets for fun. Alf Valentine is going to have to come to the crease. Immortalised, of course, in that victory calypso. But is he going to see his team to victory today? The way Alan Lamb is bowling, it may just not happen. Alan Lamb. Big shout! This is extraordinary stuff. Not out, given by who's our umpires? We didn't even think to ask. I suspect that might be Billy Bow. Who was the famous umpire that Mike Gatting had the argument with?
Shackle Rana.
Well, that's probably the umpire today, representing the bad boys. Let's see what happens now. Oh, it's put away for 4 by Alf. That must be edging the Bespectacled 11 ever closer. How many required, Jules?
That's it, I think.
Or have they won? Oh, they've won! Well, Alf Valentine, the partner of Sonny Ramadin, immortalised by Lord Beginner, of course. Cricket, lovely cricket. At Lord's where I saw it. And we've been lovely cricket today. But this game has been won at the death by the Bespectacled Giants, with no small amount of luck, I have to say. Atif, well played, just didn't quite go for you. Didn't at the end? You just didn't put enough on the board, did you?
Yeah, I think they did well to get to 7 wickets in the end, but there just weren't enough points in there. Yeah, I think that was that hat trick really from Al Valentine ended things there. They're very spectacular that over, and to knock over people like Chris Lewis and Mohammad Asif and Shakib Ul Hassan in 3 consecutive balls. I don't think anybody will ever do that. So well done, Al Valentine.
Yep, it was quite a fantastic effort. I am just waiting for a couple of tweets to load. Mark Zip, hello Mark.
Oh, Mark.
Who says, for someone claiming to be blind, deaf and daft, Tony's zoom is pretty tight. Makes one wonder exactly what horrors he's hiding behind that custom Guerrilla Cricket background. Yes, no horrors. It's just my normal my study, which is looks like most studies with piles of books. Jeff Perkins says, "Is it Valentine's Day?" Yes, Jeff, it was. Mog says, "All the match fixing in the world couldn't help the naughty boy 11 tonight." No, it couldn't. But do you know what? Those naughty boys are not that naughty as you would want to believe, because they will have helped to raise money not just for Guerrilla Cricket, but more importantly for JDRF. And if you have gone to our Just Giving page today, thank you for doing that. If you gave £15 or more, 50% of it will be going straight through to help the amazing work of JDRF in prevention, cure, and research for juvenile diabetes. But today I have just about prevailed over the magnificent Atif. So some huge thank yous to my opponent, who can hold his head high in honourable defeat.
That's 1-1 lost one, isn't it, Atif?
Yeah, it's 1-1 lost one.
So you're still in it?
Very much so. Very much so. Scoring faultlessly, which is more than I managed, is Mark Long in a wig. And it is, of course, the incredible Jules Farman, who scored quite superbly. And the shadowy, shaky fingers of the arch... I was going to say the arch tosser, I won't say that. The man who's kept his hair, they are... Look at that.
You see, the people on YouTube can see me sitting in a chair. It's just you.
Well, as ever, exemplary dice manipulation by those fingers. But it's been a victory today for the Bespectacled 11. Thank you for your company. Thank you for your tweets. Thank you if you have donated. And we have another match tomorrow, which I've got a nasty feeling is me again. I think it's me and Hendo, isn't it, tomorrow?
Yeah, I think so.
Because this match was rather slotted in after the Zoomageddon attack a few Sundays ago. So it's the pastry eaters who will be taking my... I hope they're not overconfident. It's just as well they're staying at Trent Bridge, because they won't have to drive anywhere. We're thinking of taking my blind 11 to Barnard Castle and see if they play cricket there, but not this time around. So it's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from Atif.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from Jules.
Ciao, ciao.
And it's a fond au revoir, but hasta mañana for the bear.
Goodbye.
Take care. See you soon.
Guerrilla Crickets.
Well, wasn't that fun? Bit of dice action from lockdown. We have better news from Old Trafford. That news is that the covers are coming off, the sun is out, and there'll be an inspection in 15 minutes, or 14 minutes now. An inspection at 5 p.m. UK time. While we're waiting for news of that, we will go to this lunchtime chat between that we did the other day during the first day of the third Test match between England and the West Indies, and what a wonderful chat it was with the quite brilliant Devon Malcolm. So have a listen to that, and we'll be with you again once we know more news of the inspection.
It's a pleasure to have in the house Devon Malcolm. I mean, normally you'd have to be in one of the hospitality boxes and have to pay a lot of money to listen to Devon Malcolm, but one of the casualties of the whole biosecure thing has been the whole sort of corporate hospitality. Devon, you're an ambassador for English Cricket Board, aren't you? And you do a lot of work at these games. So you've got a bit of time on your hands, and it's Guerrilla Cricket's gain. Welcome along.
Thank you indeed. With the lockdown, you managed to get a bit of access to me right now. So in the normal times, what would happen, as you said, I do quite a lot at the Test matches for the PCA, the Professional Cricket Association, via the ECB. So we normally entertain guests, say lunchtime, and even during the game, what you call the 12-man hub, or we normally do the boxes and talking about, probably the session and entertain our punters, right through the day, and get them a bit closer. I mean, the spectators get a bit closer to us, who, when we're doing our thing on the field, they didn't have that much access. So we're a lot more closer to the fans, and a bit more accessible, put it that way.
Well, welcome to Guerrilla Cricket. As I say, it's our gain, and all those punters lost. And so, Devon, you're used to entertaining people at lunchtime. You'd be amazed at a number of our team who claim to have played against you. I've actually played with you in the Bunbury's team, but you won't remember my spell. But you might remember Hendo, aka Nigel Henderson of the Times, because he's definitely played against you, haven't you, Hendo?
Yeah, I kind of avoided 3 balls that Devon bowled at me. I think he was playing for Sheffield at the time. I was playing for York, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure he won't remember me, but he might remember. Do you remember a player called Simon Kippax, son of Peter Kippax? Devon?
Of course, son of Kippax. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
That's right. Well, I was batting with him towards the end of the game, and this would have been 1986. Yeah. And I managed to watch you mainly from the non-strikers end. That was probably the best place to be. But I do remember Simon Kippax, who was a bit of a fiery character, running down the wicket to you in the final over of our innings. I mean, did you often have people running down the wicket at you in club cricket?
No, not really. But I mean, probably was towards the end of that over, and you look, you were at the non-strikers end, so you can live to tell the tale. But way back in those early days in the Yorkshire League, as you said, I was playing for Sheffield United. Then, I was pretty quick, very erratic, so you could get a bouncer, you could get a beamer, anything. So it was rather silly running down to the pitch to me, actually, because pretty brave, pretty foolhardy. But generally, like most cricket, when I get it right, whether in the Yorkshire League or all the way to international, I normally sort a few batsmen out. But in that case, yeah, it was rather it was rather brave to do that in those early stages of my career. Yeah.
Well, it was the sort of stupidity of youth, and in his case, I think.
Yeah, because Devon, you're not one of the Chris Jordans who came over on a cricket scholarship. You emigrated at 16 and had to work your way through playing for Yorkshire schools, right? You came here from Jamaica at the age of 16. Is that right?
Yes, as I said, as you said, actually, yeah. My dad was, just after me, was early 60s. So I joined him later on, as a 16-year-old here, as a student, and we lived in Sheffield. So, I didn't even play any cricket for a couple of years, while I was in Sheffield. I normally run around with my mates on the street playing football. And one weekend, one of my mates dragged me and said, look, the Westerns were touring actually in the early 80s. And he said, I bet you can play cricket. I said, matter of fact, I used to play when I was in Jamaica. So he took me off to, he dragged me off to a place called Shire Green in Sheffield to have a ball. A couple of the guys there, these big men, and I had them jumping around for their life. And they asked me, who do I play for? And he said, my mate doesn't play cricket, sir. He hasn't played for a few years. And he said, you must be joking. And it just happened very, very quickly from then. You know, as I said, I was at Richmond College. I was doing okay. I got a cricket club in the league, doing all right. And I got hooked up from there to playing senior school cricket. And, I played in York in the early 80s. I reckon it was 81.
You had to
Metcalf and all those guys. And,
you had to leave Yorkshire to get a game in professional cricket, because Yorkshire had a policy of only playing people born in Yorkshire.
Indeed, that's exactly how it was then, way back then. You couldn't play for Yorkshire. And I said I played Yorkshire Senior School, and they actually advised me, said, look, in the early days, you've got some pace, you've got some potential, but the rule is that you haven't been born in Yorkshire. Even Michael Vaughan later on, he wouldn't be able to play for Yorkshire because born in Lancashire. So I was told that, probably have to look somewhere else to play. Probably that's the highest level I could represent Yorkshire. That was senior school. So an incident happened where I managed to played in the Yorkshire League. I was selected in 1984 in a Yorkshire League Select 11 versus Yorkshire County Cricket Club at a place called Castleford. And so as you said, I was at college, so I nicked the Friday off college, went to Castleford to play. Opened the batting was Martin Moxon and Jeff Boycott. And it was just one of those things where at the right place. Talent is one thing, but you got to be at the right place at the right time. Running, as I said, it was early March in 1984. Running to bowl my first over at Martin Moxon. A clean bowling with the Yorker, his middle peg out of the ground. My second over, same fate happened to a guy called Mr. Jeff Boycott. A clean bowling as well with the Yorker, knock his stump out of the ground. And for the first time in the league history, actually, Yorkshire League actually beat Yorkshire County Cricket Club in 1984. Thanks to me, I took 3 wickets and we beat Yorkshire. And it happened very quickly. Had a big write-up in the Yorkshire Post then, and the headline was York's been Devon cream. So the coach at Derbyshire saw it, invited me to Derby on the Monday for a trial. He came down to Bawtry Road where we were practicing on the Saturday. Invited me on the Monday to Derby for a trial. I told him no, I could not because I'm at college. I said my dad would kill me if he found out that I nicked 2 days off college to play cricket. So he insisted I should pop down. Went down, and they offered me a contract there and then. And so you talk about talent, but you got to be at the right place at the right time. But getting the right person out as well. And the moral of the story is, even now, if you see Jeff Boycott and you possibly want a response from Boyks, just mention the word Devon Malcolm, and I promise you, probably give you the response to say, look, if it wasn't for his wickets way back in 1984, nobody would have heard of Devon Malcolm. How great a batsman Jeff Boycott was. So at the right place at the right time, got a great batsman out in Jeff Boycott. And I was a professional 2 days later. Wow. And history really. So it was one of those lucky breaks in a way. Apart from the talent, I've never been in any academies or anything like that. So I reckon starting my international career, my first class career, have a massive bearing on Mr. Jeff Boycott.
Well, the credit shouldn't go. The credit Boycott will take the credit, but the credit should go to that Derbyshire coach that signed you up straight away and got you in. Was that Phil Russell? Who was that?
Yeah, it was Phil Russell. Phil Russell was the one that said, boy, you've got some pace. You haven't got a clue where it's going at the moment, but as I said, I was pretty young. But he said, you know what? If you can get 3 or 4 balls where you want it, you're going to play international cricket. I said, really, sir? And he said, oh, yeah. He said, you've got something special. You've got pace of fire. So I worked on it. He saw the seed way back in 1984. And, I went on and ended up taking over 1,000 first-class wickets. So when I first started, not a lot of people would even expect me to do that. But, it was a learning process, and I love the game.
Did you complete your studies at Richmond College?
I went to Richmond College, yes. I did well at Richmond College. Next I went to Derby, obviously, when I signed up at Derby. Next I went to Kedleston Road. You didn't know Derby University, but it was a further education college then. I went on there, did business administration there, and they've got university status. But I must admit, I ended up there as well. Later on, when my when my England career started flourishing, I was awarded a honorary degree.
Oh.
From the college as well, from Derby University as well. But yeah, it's been fantastic. Yeah.
Dr. Malcolm. So that Derbyshire team. Dr. Malcolm. Dr. Devon. So that Derbyshire team you played in, if I remember right, had a lot of good quick bowlers in it, didn't it? Just talk us through some of your contemporaries in that Derbyshire side.
Oh dear, and you know what? You mentioned, I mentioned how I started in first class cricket. One of my schoolboy heroes, when I got in the side in 1984, was Michael Holding, was the overseas player there, and he had a bit of a knee problem. So Derbyshire saw it and them said, okay, at that stage I wasn't going to be signing an overseas player because, as you know, I was born in Jamaica, so I was classed as an overseas player then, although we're living in Sheffield. Came over as a student.
It took you longer to qualify than Jofra Archer, I believe.
Oh yeah, long time. About 10 years. long time. It wasn't like no. So Michael Holding was there, so I joined up with Michael in 1980. The following year, 85, Michael, and he was such a great teacher. He wasn't one of those guys who probably drag you to the nets and tell you to change this, do that. But his experience, he just watched you bowl, and obviously with the Jamaican background as well. Even with Michael Holding see me bowling and he spotted something, he don't have to say a word. He just hits his teeth, and I know exactly what he's on about. You understand? So we understand the language, and he helped me tremendously in fast tracking me up to first class cricket and very quickly into international cricket. Yeah, and you got guys like I said, Derbyshire had a battery of fast bowlers actually. Later on had Ian Bishop, the young fast Ian Bishop from the West Indies. He joined there. You had guys like Will Mortensen. He was, Big Dane. You didn't realize that. He was a fantastic line and length bowler. You just couldn't get him away. But the way cricket moves on these days, I'm thinking, would all be able to bowl those immaculate line and lengths that he used to bowl then in these one-day games nowadays, because these guys will be charging him and sweep, slug sweeping and all that business. But yeah, we had some seriously quick bowlers at Derbyshire then to choose from. Yeah,
that was quite a team. And now Hendo will know a lot more about your international career, but obviously you had five wicket hauls, 128 wickets in 40 test matches, and I have a feeling from your email address that I know what the highlight is going to be.
Yes, you know what? We're talking
9-4-57. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, you're right. You got that. Yeah. Yes, mate. Yeah. But I mean, that's what it is. When you talk about Test cricket, I made my debut against Australia, the mighty Australians, in 1989 at Trent Bridge. I don't want to tell you what my test bowling, my maiden test average was, what it was, but it was quite an introduction to international cricket. You understand? But it took me my third new ball before I got my first wicket in test cricket. But I had a good scalp in Stephen Moore, and that was the start. I thought, okay, way back then in the 90s, how fickle the selectors were. Yeah. But I was lucky. There was a tour leading up in 1989-90 to the Caribbean, and obviously I was selected for that. So I had a good tour in the Caribbean. Back to Jamaica for the first time since I left as a youth. Actually, the first test match was at Sabina Park in Kingston. And you remember I mentioned a while ago who actually launched my first class career. But if anything, as I said, I went to the Caribbean with not a lot of wickets, being smacked around the park by the Australians, my first test match there back in Jamaica, back to the land of my birth, as I said, I managed to get the great Viv Richards out in the first innings. I had him out LBW. And not only that, the start of the test match, I remember the West Indies batted first, and they had a brilliant start actually. And I managed to run Gordon Greenidge out. And that started the kind of collapse for West Indies. And following from that, I clean ball. As I said, no, I had Viv Richards out LBW in the first innings. As a matter of fact, the umpire who gave him out LB, I don't believe he ever umpired since. Nobody saw it. They were so upset. And the second innings, I had Viv Richards out as well. I yorked him in the second innings we set up a great platform, and we actually won that test match in Jamaica. I reckon that was the first test match in Jamaica in about 35 years, could be actually, if I'm not wrong.
Because yes, I was going to say, your contests with Viv are quite famous, aren't they? This must be one of your lunchtime anecdotes. It's got to be.
Yes, so I mean that was quite a battle, and as I said, getting Viv Richards out both innings in Jamaica, that actually really put me a big launching pad to my international career. So obviously Viv Richards was getting towards 3/4 end of his career. He was still a fierce batsman, very proud guy, still didn't wear a helmet, and he will take you on, you see. But we had a great battle, and that series went very well for me in the Caribbean, and obviously coming back and I was pretty very fit and all that business. But as I said, in the 90s, the selectors were very fitter in a way. So 1 minute you're in, 1 minute you're out. It's not like now where you see these guys getting out there being rotated, and they've got central contracts. They're just concentrated on playing for England. It wasn't like that, in my days. In our days, you understand? You don't know, because I mean, when I played, your county used to own you, not the England side. So the England selectors, they give you an invitation if you want to play for England, if you said yes. And that's it. So the selectors weren't very, consistent. So regarding confidence-wise playing for England, you were all over the place, because 1 minute you're in, 1 minute you're out. So it was very difficult. But,
not helped by some of the team management. Ray Illingworth in particular is famous for getting your name wrong and not encouraging you or supporting you.
No. Regarding the name wrong, actually, was when I was first selected for my debut. It was Ted Dexter, but he's a wonderful man.
Ted,
it was one of those things. He called me Malcolm Devon instead of Devon Malcolm. But as I said, he's absolutely Lord Ted, fantastic guy. I love Lord Ted to bits. But it's one of those things. Again, say way back in the 80s, 90s. Chairman of selectors and all those guys, it was just a voluntary role. It's not like now a payroll. So these guys get in there and somebody give them a team and they're gonna announce stuff. So I don't believe he was 100% know who I was in a way. I like nowadays selectors, they do travel around, they meet players, they see players play, but it was just collectively, because it wasn't a professional job.
But Devon, how about Ray Illingworth? Did Ray Illingworth give you enough support and encouragement?
Never. He was, that's something I just don't want to get too deep into. He was a very, very old school, and the coaches he had on board were very, very old school. And what I say as a coach, and as a coaching team, is bowling coach, batting coach, really, I reckon they disarmed me as a player, and also disarm my captain, Michael Appleton, then, in a way, because the disrespect and a lot of things they normally talk about how they used to do things in their days, and that was just decades and decades ago. Things have moved on so far ahead. So these guys were miles out of their depth, really. So that was always going to cause a bit of problem, with the way they speak to players, and they were just so miles behind. So it was always going to cause a bit of problem. Their management skill, those type of skill, and not getting players or captains or people involved. They just wanted to dictate. It was never going to work. So but it just the way his management skill was, as I said, not very good. You not only from yourself, you hear that from right across the board. But we had some. It's been well documented. We had some terrible times, especially in my first tour to South Africa. After my great performance in 1994. But as I said, it's best to talk about positive things than the lowest point in my international cricket career, so to speak. You understand? So, yeah.
No, indeed. It's you studied management. You studied management at Richmond College, and now you're the doctor of management, so you know all about Ray Illingworth's management failings. That's for sure.
It was very, very difficult, mate. As I said, that tour in South Africa, or even on the tour, I've seen certain incident that happened during his term as management. You understand that? I thought, look, a manager would have a broader view of doing things or saying things, the situation where captain make decisions and stuff like that will have a negative effect on team. I even take it back way back, when we toured Australia, when Michael Atherton declared on Graham Hick on 90 odd runs, and I thought that was one of the lowest points.
Yeah.
Almost. I was disarmed. I was so fired up to bowl Australia out, But I look and it keeps saying management is there. Arthur's probably clap and give the final signal to call the teams in. But I keep saying management actually encourage that, and I keep saying, why on earth would you do that? Graham Hick, one of the most pleasant-mannered guy I ever come across, and I keep saying, I went out to bowl. I was so fired up because at that stage I keep saying, Graham Thorpe almost get to his 50. Graham Hick 100% got to get his 100. Let Graham Thorpe get a 50 as well. We just need a little bit of moral booster in the team. And I was going to bowl Australia out. And I tell you what, I went out for that session. I don't believe we took a wicket because it felt like midnight when I went out. Psychologically, I was drained. I just could not work out what on earth, why would be.
What did Athers say to you when you said to Athers, why did you call Graham Hick in on 99? Why did you do that? What did Athers say?
Well, to be honest, I didn't say that. I swore at a big, so people even reckon I'm the most mild-mannered man. I actually swore when I saw that. I keep saying, what? And I went in the changing room, Graham, he came off the field, and you know what, he was just somewhere else. And so was I. In my mind, I had to look on the replays, whatever, to realize it was bright and sunny, because it felt as if it was midnight when I was running to bowl. I couldn't see a thing. And it was just crazy. I keep saying, wow, this is weird, Well, we had massive advantage to beat Australia, and we just gave it back to them straight away. They were laughing at us. I keep saying, that's the poorest bit of management I've ever seen. And young Michael Atherton clapped for the guys in, but I keep saying, that's not right at all. This is just great, And that's the type of management, I said, as a manager, it didn't work for us, So, and as I said, you talk about a captain, but when you have your management in the background saying things close by and all that business, or the team come first and various different things, and it put an influence in, and it make captain or people make the wrong decision. So
absolutely. Well, he was called Captain Grumpy, Mike Atherton, of course. Anyway, let's take you back to the high point. The high point at the Oval, because it is it's one of the big sporting moments, of the last century. In cricketing terms, it's got to be one of the most astonishing bowling performances by an English bowler. 9 for 57 against South Africa at the Oval, 1994. Devon, what a day that must have been. You must have been. How did it feel to be bowling like that day?
Well, I tell you what, it was one of those fantastic days, but. It was one of those things as well. It was a split match series, 3 test matches against New Zealand, 3 against South Africa. I was left out after the first game against New Zealand. Next, the South African came. The first time South Africa playing cricket back in this country since the apartheid days. South Africa won the first test match by a huge margin at Lords. The second test match at Leeds was drawn. So psychologically, I was preparing in my mind, said, look, chances are they're going to be calling me up for the final test match. So all of a sudden I heard the call, okay, we need a match winner, bring Devon Malcolm back. So I was well prepared in my mind leading up to that. But, I just push it on a little bit. I bowled pretty quickly in the first innings, took 1 wicket. But an incident that happened, I was bowling pretty quickly. John T. Rhodes misread a ball. Didn't watch the ball. They cracked him at the side of his head, end up in hospital overnight. But when I came out to bat for my first innings, an incident happened. I could hear all the South African players, in the Spips Cordon, saying to Farney de Villiers, the bowler, look, give him a bouncer. He hit one of our boys. And I said to myself, okay, this is the biggest bluff I can hear in my life. There was this unwritten rule between fellow fast bowlers. You don't bowl the fellow fast bowler, a bouncer first ball. So I'm there waiting there. Everybody know I'm not the best batsman in the world, although I hit some of the best batters for 4 and 6s, from Malcolm Marshall, Shane Warne, Ambrose Walsh, you name it. So don't worry, take too much mickey out of my batting. I'm not so bad, I took my batting very seriously. But back onto the story. back onto the story, and I'm there waiting for this Yorker. Finally, de Villiers ran up, and before I moved, he bowled me the perfect bouncer, hit me right between the eyes, hit the 3 lions, and I wasn't very happy at all. And I could see quite a few other guys in the slips caught and kind of looking away, giving us a little bit of, a little bit of giggle. And I just turned around and said, guys, he shouldn't have done that. I said, he shouldn't have done that at all. I said, boys, if you really want to see what fast bowling is about, wait till you guys come out to bats. Again, I said, oh, you guys are history. And you know what? You make these bold statements at times, but if ever I wanted to send a signal to those boys that, look, what I said, mate, is what I meant. That very first ball of the second innings, I bowled to Kirsten. If ever I wanted the ball to pitch at the right place, with the right pace, Kirsten just managed to get his head out of the way when the ball absolutely thuds in Steve Rhodes' glove, and the crowd went up. I was bowling from the pavilion end, and I looked up. I could see all the South African boys run to the changing room. They were having a look to see what the crowd was cheering about like that. And I just shouted, I said, boys, you better pad up. You're going to be out here in a hurry, And my first spell, I probably took 3 for none or something like that. But it was one of those things, my teammates were just unbelievable, They just gave me the power. The crowd was absolutely fantastic. And you know what? I mentioned about the crowd as well. You know what? I could only hear the crowd's voice, the noise the crowd was making at the end of my over. Turn running into bowl at the batsman. It was total silence. I could not believe it. Watching the highlights afterwards, I realized that every step I made running into bowl, the cheer from the crowd was getting louder and louder. That's how focused I was. So what I would say, if there was a point where they said you're in the zone, I must have been in the zone that game, because I was just above the noise. I just could not hear a thing. All I could see is the batsman at the other end. And as I said, every spell after, got me back onto ball, I was just taking wickets after wickets. And, it's one of those days as well, that's not the quickest I've bowled, but that's obviously with the 9 wickets that, the most successful, because all the catches were taken and, things just went my way as well. Apart from being hostile, and also the wickets I took, everything happened nicely because I really softened the batsman up before. Devon, how did you feel? How did you feel at the end of that day? You've just taken 9 for 57, best figures by an English bowler since Laker. How did you feel at the end of that day? You know what? I mean, it really started sinking in when, at the end of that, when I took the 9 wickets, after the captain ran over to me and slapped me on the bum and said, "Well done, Dev. You realize what you realize what you've just done?" And I said, "Skipper, would you believe it? I tried to bowl like that all the while." And he said. He said to me, look, possibly as long as I play cricket, I won't see another person dominate the game as much as you did then. And I said to him, Skipper, I've had a very good game in 1990 against the West Indies in 1990 at Trinidad, where I took 11 wickets. Probably that was my best maths analysis in a test match. Yeah, I took 11 wickets in the game. But we didn't win that game. That's when the rain came and and Desmond Haynes scored the time wasting, the famous time wasting test, yeah. And I said to Athers, I said, look, the only way this is gonna mean a lot to me, you guys get out there, knock these runs off, and let's win this game, win and draw the series 1-1. And once it started sinking in, when they got out there, knocked the runs off, we won the game, drew the series. I was man of the match, man of the series, just played 1 game, and next it started sinking in, and I keep saying, wow, that's it. If I'd gone and take 957 and did not win the game, or South Africa bowled us out, it wouldn't hurt a thing, man. But winning the game, draw the series, and the adulation that follows was amazing, because all of a sudden you're getting called from the president, and you're getting called. All the newspapers headlines was my performance, and it was a memory maker. And would you believe, I've had so many contacts from all over the world where a lot of sons from New Zealand right across been called Devon. They didn't know how to be, mainly because at that particular stage, what happened? Either the wife were in labor and all that business, and they keep running off, coming back. Oh, he took another. When his wife's in labor, rather than helping, they're running off, trying to scream to watch the to watch the cricket. So I know 1994, September 1994, on that day, there's a lot of boys all around the world being called Devon. I must have had at least 10 letters. I mean, a few years ago, one came in from New Zealand. From New Zealand to meet me. I keep saying, wow, I've been sending out birthday cards and all sorts. Dad's been saying, look, my son's named Devon after your performance against South Africa in 1994.
Wow.
So it's been a massive memory maker, mate.
Yeah, and it'll stay. It'll always will be. It's going to stay the test of time. It's one of those records that will stand for the test of time. Devon, bringing the story up to date, do you think there's going to be a lot of kids called Cornwall now after this test match? Do you think there'll be a lot of newborns called Cornwall?
I tell you what, he's a big boy. He's a big guy, but you know what? He can bowl, and I don't believe, the way cricket or sport is run these days, not a lot of people would put him in his team, but he's got the talent. That's the way Cornwall is built. You can tell the boy can bowl, and I reckon he can bat as well. And, he's a good fielder. So we must not discriminate, Generally, when you're talking about a professional sports person, they had to look a certain way and all that business. But, we got to give people a chance. And, all he can do is, he's on the platform, show that he can bowl, he can play cricket. And I don't believe it's not for the want of, working on his diet or working on various different things, because, there's people there who are trying to help him work on his size, whatever. But when time's up, people probably call the people Cornwall, I don't know, but at the end of the day, it's one of those things. It's probably nice to see. There's a lot of people out there who said, okay, all right, you probably don't look like a professional sports person, but you can do the business. So we said,
exactly.
Discriminate,
Well, it's good to see Devon and Cornwall given the credit they deserve in the cricketing stage. Now, I've got to ask you, Devon, with the Jofra Archer situation, I'd love to get your perspective on Jofra Archer, because the England management have really tried to look after him, and you famously were you were often criticised, I think, by one or two people for not being sufficiently committed. You came from coming from Jamaica. You were accused by one article in Wisden magazine of not being sufficiently committed to the England team. In the light of the changes in society since then, do you reflect on the Jofra Archer situation and see any parallels there?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, that's why when you mentioned about the article in Wisden years back, and I had to take them to court, High Court, to put that right, because I keep saying, well, you check my record, and the thing about it, they were particularly pointing and the Afro-Caribbean black guys, because at the time as well, there was guys that was from South Africa who actually came over to play cricket. I didn't come here. I got the chance, I took it with both hands. I set up. I've been given my chance by England. I wanted to play for England, and that's where I did my thing. But if you even look at my figures, I look at the figures right through, all my best performance with the leading up games against England. So there's no, there's absolutely no question in how much I'll give.
It was racism was behind that, wasn't it?
A guy called Henderson, I believe it was. The editor of the magazine was
David Frith.
David Frith from Australian guy. Yeah. But I had to take him to court mainly because, again, I said, look, I've got kids born in this country. This is where they live, and if I do not take this to court and let it go, who to tell in the future I won't have a son who want to play cricket and or play sports? I want to do things for England. And at the time I had 3 daughters. They go on and do very well academically. One's a pharmacist, one's a pediatrician, one's a journalist, and all that business. But as it happened, I have a young son at the moment who shows some potential of playing cricket. And I wouldn't want later on he look in an article and said, look, the dad will accuse him of not trying. But it was great to see. I took them to the High Court, and the court, the paper admits, and we got things resolved and moved on. But back to the Jofra case at the moment, you see, Jofra got out there, he bowled very well. It's tough, bowling quick, day after day, and Jofra again, obviously, he spent a lot more time in Barbados, where a bit warm. You see how lethally well he bowled against the Australian, and he had them in all sort of trouble. He got to be colder, And again, as a fast bowler, I must admit, earlier on, Jafra is used to bowling, mainly playing white ball cricket. And when you're going out there and play a game, we're going to bowl maximum 4 overs, you can give it all. You probably have 2 spells or whatever, not a problem. But when you're going out there bowling 30 or 40 overs in a test match, as a fast bowler, I don't care how smooth you are, it takes a lot out of you. So when they see Jafra getting out there, bowling and not bowling at 96 miles an hour every ball, it can't be done. The next they said, okay, he's not trying hard enough and all that.
Yeah.
business.
So do you see any parallels there in the way that he's being criticised with the way that you were criticised in terms of motivation?
Indeed. It just, we're all human, you understand? It's nothing to do with, okay, I'm not charging in mainly because I don't want to for England. He doesn't care. You've got to work with your body. And I said the guy could be tired, and I said he bowled some very long spells. There's never in my life, I played for how many years, I would have never ever bowled spells where in one innings I bowled 30 or 40 overs. I'll probably get up to pretty near 30, but next you really start feeling it. And that guy bowled some heavy heat. And another thing again, he just been co-opted into the team just for the World Cup and pushed on. And one of the most frightening things I saw, which I actually prayed, things were going to work out for him, was in the World Cup final when he bowled a super over. Because, that could have finished him. If he didn't go on and win the World Cup, all of a sudden the finger could be pointed at him, as it did on myself in a test match.
Is there extra pressure? Is there extra pressure on yourself and Jofra Archer because of coming from West Indian background?
Coming from West Indian background. And at times, on many occasions, I'm there playing for England, and it's different with Jafra now. With obviously you've got the social media, you can put things out there, and also you're concentrating in test cricket. But in the past, where we had these fickle selectors, I'm in a test match and I'm probably trying something to get a batsman out. Okay, trying to a few bounces or whatever. Top edge going for 4 and 6, and straight away I know, I got to get a wicket next few overs. The pressure is so much because as soon as taking wickets after wickets, or the batsman doesn't make too much runs in the days I play, and okay, I get a few wickets, but next a bowler get dropped. Who's going to be dropped? Devon Malcolm. Why? Because the ball is with the test side, we only got bowled for 166, and somebody, papers and commentary normally said, so why is he being dropped? He's not the best batsman in the world. You don't expect a number 11 to get out there and make the runs as well as take wickets, do you? So these type of things you look at and you keep saying, what's the criteria? How does these selectors work are played this way? But in Jafra's case, you're talking about it's got to be used properly. You're there as a quick bowler, a fast bowler. You use your bowler sharp. You have 5 overs. You don't want to bowl in more than 20 overs in a day or whatever. And use other you use other bowlers, and if the surface is right, the time is right, take wicket. But you can burn your fast bowlers out by doing too much. But Jafra is under a lot of pressure, and it does happen as well to other players. Graham Hick was a classic case.
But I think particular pressure probably, from the West Indies background. But Devon, I can understand now why so many people pay so much money to hear you entertain them at lunchtime. It's been absolutely brilliant having you on. I've just got to tell you we've had a few listeners calling in. Jay Grover says, can I just say to Devon Malcolm, you're a personal hero. Hello from Sheffield. And Gitson Gratz says, Devon Malcolm was one of my favourite stars of cricket growing up. Was so lucky to be there to see his 9-4 versus South Africa. At another test, he even signed my programme. So some of our listeners, we've all enjoyed very much your company. Thanks to the biosecure arrangements for this test match, Guerrilla Cricket's gain, and England cricket supporters who would have been at the ground listening to you.
Go for it.
Well, that's a lovely little piece we recorded somewhat earlier with Devon Malcolm. That was only seems like a week ago. Maybe it was only a week ago. The cricket comes so thick and fast these days, which is great because there's not much else to do, is there? Sitting around doing a bit of work from home, I suppose. Anyway, the latest news is there is another inspection at 5:30. I've got Knackle alongside me now, and what do you think of the chances of us getting out there? I guess we have to be out there by 6 to carry on till 7 or 7:30, don't we?
Would imagine so. Yes. Obviously, we don't quite know, but It looks all right. It has been steadily brightening over the last little while. The forecast has changed so often today that it's almost not really worth looking at anymore. But the last inspection at 5 o'clock, it said that the umpire said there were just some damp patches that they wanted to have a look at. So if it hasn't rained in that time, I think we could well be okay. And I think that break came in a weird way at a good time for England, because they were really not very good after lunch with the ball, as well as Barber and Shan Masood played. England were as bad as they've been with the ball all year.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Woakes didn't even get a go after lunch, did he? And he'd been pretty useful up to lunch. He'd got the wicket of Azhar Ali, and he very nearly got another wicket. Another very close LBW decision against Shan Masood. Correct decision was given because it was pitching outside leg, but not by much. So maybe they need to, look at their consistent medium pacer, fast medium bowler, because as you say, Anderson didn't look on his game at all. He looked a bit grumpy, as people will often point out. And maybe you need to turn to the quiet man, the quiet, consistent man, Chris Woakes, to get you back into a sort of a sense of competing.
He's not so much a silent assassin as an ignored assassin, Chris Woakes. His record in England is phenomenal with the ball and with the bat to some extent as well, although less so in the last couple of years. Look, I understand why you would start with Anderson and Broad after a session break. That makes some sense. Maybe they stayed on for a couple of overs too long once it became obvious that they weren't. Not became obvious, but once it became apparent that they weren't quite on the money. There was a bit of Jofra Archer bowled well in patches after lunch, not as good as he was before lunch, and Dom Best bowled a few overs. Of course, should have had Shan Masood caught Josh Buttler dropping. Not an easy chance, but a chance that he would expect to take. It's interesting on Josh Buttler, that's only the second catch he's dropped since coming back into the team as a wicketkeeper in 2018. Unfortunately, they've both been in the last two Test matches. It's an odd one for Buttler. He's not bad, but we know how good Folkes is with the gloves, and just his runs just haven't been flowing enough for his case to be inarguable. But I mean, we should talk about Pakistan. Shan Masood, really impressive. Kind of learning from his terrible tours of England and his terrible series against England, and Babar Azam. Well, you and I have been swooning about Babar Azam's cover drive for 4 years.
Not so much his cover drive. I think it's the back foot punch which really gets me going. He plays the ball at the top of the bounce. He waits for the ball to the last possible second and puts it away with such aplomb. He's a glorious batsman, as you say. We've been swooning over him since we pretty much first saw him. That doesn't always go to order, does it? You don't always find a player that looks that good ends up being that good. I mean, I suppose someone like James Vince would be a prime example of that. We've swooned over his cover drive, but he hasn't really backed it up, especially in this last little session against Ireland as well. But yeah, Babar Azam, he's got a great record coming into this series, although he's probably not batted in a competitive sense since about February, but he seems to have picked up where he left off, really. A little bit of an awkward period when he first came in, got an absolute corker from Woakes' first ball, and could have been sent back to the pavilion with that one. It just shaved the off stump, really. But that said, since lunch, he's been well on top of his game, even taking it to Dominic Best, going down. Going down to deep mid wicket when it was required.
Sorry, yes, indeed, and that was to get him to 49. A very authoritative pickup over mid wicket. It reminds me a little bit of Virat Kohli's innings at Edgbaston last in 2018, where he got through that early tough patch. Anderson bowled a few beauties. Chris Woakes bowled a few absolute beauties to Babar Azam, beating him on the outside edge. But then since lunch, Babar has aided by some wayward bowling, but has been absolutely dominant, scoring at nearly a run a ball, and looks absolutely on top of his game. I mean, there's a real case to say that he's the second best Test batter in the world at the moment, behind Steve Smith. You know, he is up there in that conversation with Virat Kohli and Kane Williamson right now. He really is.
He is. I think I heard Nasser saying earlier it's a Fab 5 rather than a Fab 4 now. It's always difficult to tell because players go for so long without playing Test cricket at times, don't they? Especially if they don't play for England. But yes, I saw another interesting topic of conversation, I think, when I was searching around for a little bit of more information about Naseem Shah, who we will hopefully see later in this test match. Quick bowler, age 17, got his debut at 16. He's taken a hat-trick already. First, I think the youngest man to take a 5-wicket haul in tests. Also, there was a very interesting piece, I suppose it was tongue-in-cheek, that suggested that Virat Kohli would become Naseem Shah's bunny. And it's going to be pretty difficult to find out because they don't play against each other very often, if at all. I'm not sure when the next India-Pakistan test series is planned. Probably not at all.
There isn't one.
No, exactly. And with the likes of the Pakistan players not being allowed to play in the IPL, which is a massive shame, we're not going to see that particular match up for some time. But I did like the idea that Virat Kohli would become his bunny. If he does become his bunny, then it means that good things have happened in the world of cricket, in the sense that India and Pakistan are playing each other, and perhaps they'll play each other in other formats of the game.
Yeah, and playing each other regularly enough for bunnydom to emerge, rather than at World Cups and Champions Trophies and so forth. I mean, Naseem Shah, I don't think he's played a white ball international for Pakistan. With the way that the formats are diverging, I mean, possibly he shouldn't for a little while while he develops. He's still only 17. Yeah, he smashed the record of youngest Test hat-trick taker by about 4 years with that hat-trick against Bangladesh.
I mean, the worrying thing is, of course, at 17 is he's still growing. So we don't know what will happen. I hope that won't sort of throw anything out. It hasn't happened with a lot of other players, but 17, you are still growing. And if he was to shoot up another couple of inches, who knows? It might make a difference. It might make him better. Anyway, we're waiting to find out what's going to happen with the 5:30 inspection. Sky aren't being terribly helpful because they're showing us the World Cup final from the World Cup semi-final.
There we go. Restart at 5:45 p.m.
5:45. We are going to get cricket. Well, they had to pretty much start before 6 o'clock. So that's exceptional news. That is now, about 13 minutes away. So do we know what time play will continue tonight? Because that will have a bearing upon my rotors. And I'm very keen to
it will have a bearing on the immediate next just under 2 hours of our lives, yes. And indeed yours, listeners and viewers out there around the world. No, we don't yet. I suspect that information is being disseminated to all relevant parties right now.
I feel like I'm a relevant party, and I would like to know as soon as possible. Hello, who's that coming in? Sounded like someone else on the line.
No,
we got a cross line.
It's just us.
Oh, it's just us. Okay, it sounded like there was another voice finding its way through. So yes, we've got 13 minutes to go. I wonder if someone else would like to come along and have a little bit of a chat with you, Knackle, while I rework these rotors. If there's anyone out there listening at this very moment, one of our crew, if they would like to come and help out, the Bear, if you're there.
Bear is
anyone there.
Bear is actually at home in the den, looking after the Cubs.
Gone.
But no, he said he'd be back if there was play.
Oh, if there is play. What about Jono? You out there, Jono? I can see that you're muted at the moment, but if you are there, it would help us greatly while I try and organise this rabble, this crew, into some sort of semblance of discipline. So, as I say, Pakistan were 121 for 2 when rain stopped play round about 3 o'clock. I'll just give you the card up to this point. Babar Azam is out there with Shan Masood, and they've batted pretty well. But the first man to go was Abid Ali. Looked pretty solid until he got a good one from Archer that nipped back in the air, really, and took out his middle and off stumps. It was quite a good plan executed by Archer, who bowled him a couple of short ones in the previous over, probably thinking that he'd remember that when he started the new one. But he bowled him a full one that ducked in really late, and no shame to Abid Ali in getting out to a ball of that quality. He made 16 from 37 balls. Azhar Ali came in, was LBW quite quickly to Wokes. He seemed a little upset, thinking that perhaps he got an inside edge. Clearly he hadn't. He maybe had hit the pad with his bat. He reviewed, but was sent on his way. He made a duck. Not a great start for the captain. But since then, it's been Shan Masood and Babar Azam. Shan Masood is on 45, which is pretty much what he's been averaging over the last couple of years. from 134 balls, 7 fours. None of them that I can really remember as being classic shots. So there was one nice little tuck off his rib at one point, off his hip at one point. And Babar Azam, as you said, got some really good balls up top when he first came to the crease before lunch, but since lunch has raced on to 72 from 71 balls. 52 from 71 balls, with 9 glorious boundaries. The bowling figures so far: Jimmy Anderson not at his best, although a little unlucky first thing this morning. 8 overs, 2 maidens, none for 32. Stuart Broad, economical as ever. 11 overs, 4 maidens, none for 24. Chris Wokes has been on the money. 8 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 14. Jofra Archer, 9.1 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 22. Pretty good from him. Dominic Bess, who had Shalmasu, dropped behind by Butler. 5 overs, 1 maiden, none for 22. Have we located any wibblers yet?
We have not yet found any wibblers, but hopefully we shall do. Yeah, Shah Massoud scored most of his runs through third man and just behind square on the leg side as well. Sort of in the Alistair Cook mode, really. It's all nudges and steers, and he's a little bit more, in a way, more orthodox than Alistair Cook. He doesn't have that bat waggle. The bat doesn't end up behind him like it did with Alistair Cook. But he plays very, very late, and this is something he's developed in the last couple of years since coming back into the Pakistan team towards the end of 2018. We will remember him on the 2016 tour where he was James Anderson's bunny, and then in the before that when England were in the UAE. But where he was pushing at the ball and was constantly nicking off to the slips and the keeper. But he's playing very, very late and allowing the ball to come onto him, and it served him very well. He is the first visiting opener to face 100 balls in the first innings since Chris Rogers back in 2015 at the Oval.
Yeah, okay, well, I think that probably shows the way that the ball has dominated in England in recent seasons, certainly in Test matches. We have some tweets, which I might as well bring you since we're waiting for other wibblers to join us. Mohammed Umar says, what time is close of play? Well, I wish we knew, Mohammed, because we're waiting to find that out ourselves. The restart is in about 8 minutes' time. Ali Shan Momin tells him 11 p.m. Pakistan time, but I'm guessing that would be 7 o'clock BST. But we have a feeling they could go on till 7:30, possibly. But we're waiting to have that confirmed. Jay Grover says, I swear I'm having oral hallucinations. I've heard a duck murder and a plaintive cry of a kitten over the sound of drilling. The drilling was demonstrably real. The other two, no idea. And he does say, if you're worried, his meds are up to date. Well, that's reassuring to know. We're still looking for stray gorillas who may be wandering around their houses, not wondering what's happening. Please do come and join us on the Zoom meeting, which is how we are broadcasting at the moment in these days of the COVID-19 pandemic. Please come and join us. And
the Bish is happy to come on.
Who's coming on? Who's coming?
The Bish.
Who's coming? The Bish. Come on, the Bish. Let's get the Bish in. We will. I can see an enormous hover cover being led or pushed to the edge of the field, which is great news. England are coming down the steps. They're going to be, dare I say it, out there a tiny bit early. Evening session, 5:45 to 7, but play can be extended until 7:30. I didn't see how many overs remaining. Was it 22.5? I don't know if you saw that, Knackle.
No, I didn't see that fully, but we'll bring you that as soon as we can. But yeah, basically, if the light holds, we'll go until 7:30.
Yes, which we hope we will do. It'll make up for what we've lost, more or less. Let's think. If we went off about 3 o'clock, we've missed 40 minutes before tea, and we've missed an hour and 3/4. So we've lost nearly 2.5 hours. Yeah. We would get an hour and 3/4 back, which wouldn't be a bad. Be a bad.
And the forecast looks good for the next couple of days, so there can be time added on to tea and the third to the second and third sessions tomorrow, and if need be, the day after to catch up time. So yeah, we're doing pretty well.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty hot, we're told, especially in the south. So we will be sweating over our computers probably on Friday and Saturday, and you might well enjoy that. I should say there are very many ways that you can help Guerrilla Cricket, and I don't know whether we had any entries for the GPL today, but
many.
Did we have any?
Yeah, we had many. We had
many. Oh, right.
What have I refresh this? We had 11 entries.
11 entries for the GPL. Can you give me a top and bottom, as in
Yeah.
a lowest score and a leading score.
People have gone pretty high. I think that perhaps people were expecting an uninterrupted day's play, but 287 to 377 is the range.
Ooh, wow. Well, I suppose it's possible if they really get going again. But you imagine they've got to see themselves in. They'll think that they want to be there tomorrow morning, whatever. So you imagine that they'll take it reasonably slowly. But we shall see. Yes, the GPL is a daily competition in which you have to estimate how many runs you think will be scored in the day's play. You give us £1 for every guess you make, and if you get it on the money, you get the money. If you get it right on the nose, you get whatever's in the pot. I think the pot started out at 39 quid today. We have had people in the past winning upwards of £190 for a £1 stake. That can't be bad, can it, in this day and age? Pretty
No,
damn good.
better than any bookie for a £1 stake. I'll just Tony's here. I'll ask him to turn on his video, and then he can join me. And well, actually, we've only got 4 minutes left till the restart, so not really sure what the plan is from here on out.
Well, we've got the Bish, we've got you, we've got me. I think for the first 40 minutes, we'll do 45 minutes.
45.
There's a horrible buzzing noise coming through from someone. There, it stopped.
It's not me. Well, we've got the Bish, we've got me, we've got Knackle. I did put out an email saying to people, let me know if you want to go home, in one sense. But no one did. I think they've just gone home anyway. So I don't know where the others are. So I guess we should just swap it between the three of us, really. Right. I'll start us off after the break. If Tony wants to do social media, that would be all well and good.
Happy to do that, Hendo.
And if Knackle can stay on jingle and summarising duties until we hear different. Anyway, they're out there. And, well, I say the England fielders are out there. We're waiting for the batsmen now.
Should we jingle up the batters while we've got a little bit of time?
Yes, go for it.
No, sir. He doesn't, because he's a cricketer from Pakistan, and he's a really good one. Thank you very much.
Certainly is.
Shah Massoud was born in Kuwait in October 1989. Less than a year later, Saddam Hussein invaded. Coincidence?
Yeah, the Barbara Azam Have You Any Wool. That's absolutely inspired, that jingle. If you're from Pakistan, you perhaps don't know that song. It's what is it? It's
a nursery rhyme.
I forgot. It's a nursery rhyme. It's a nursery rhyme.
Bar Black Sheep.
Bar Black Sheep. There you go.
By the way, 22.5 overs left today, maximum.
Okay, 22.5. We might even get through that if we go to 7:30. Let's hope so. We're just looking at the wickets from earlier. Archer got that wonderful ball to duck in to Abid Ali, who looked pretty solid. And then Chris Wokes with the full ball that caught Azhar Ali trying to play around a front foot that was planted, and it was planted in the wrong place as far as he was concerned, because it hit him in line of the off stump and would have hit middle. And the Pakistan captain was gone, but it's been all Pakistan more or less since then. And Jofra Archer will have 5 balls to bowl in his 10th over when they do get out there.
Sure.
The lights will remain on, as they have been for much of the day.
Should we jingle up?
We should jingle up the bowler.
Great minds.
And now it's time for Jofra Archer.
Everybody appears to be in the Zoom room, so I think if you want to do a rota at some point, you probably can, and we don't need to just have the 3 of us going for, an hour and 45 minutes?
Yeah, well, that's good. If everyone has... Oh, I see, not Fred. Yes, he's looking confused, like he usually does. I will try and do... why don't you commentate the rest of this over, Knackle, and I shall tap out a rota.
Fantastic. So Pakistan resume at 121 for 2. As Hendo said, 5 balls left of this Jofra Archer over from the Brian Statham end. We've got a slip and a gully. We've got a short leg in place to Babar Azam. It's a split field and a couple of men back on the hook as well. A plan has been hatched during this break, and it's a short ball down the leg side, and Babar Azam ducks under it. There is no run. Tony, it looks like Jofra's going to target Babar with a short ball.
They might be interested to see, I would imagine, if there's a little bit more freshness, a little bit more spring in the wicket. I know it's been covered, but been off for a while, and there's been some atmospheric conditions. And they need to try something because he's looked quite superb. Unsteady start, but he looked very steady after about 20 balls, didn't he? And he's
short ball into the body, and Barber rides this well and plays it on the bounce to Ollie Pope at short leg, 87 miles an hour. Archer on the money immediately, pretty much. There's two men back on the hook and a square leg in place and a mid-on, as well as the slip and the gully, the backward point, who's actually quite fine, almost a deep gully, and catching extra cover. Not for a Titmus is with us as well.
It's true, I am.
England will need to bowl a hell of a lot better in this session than they did in the truncated second if they're to stop Pakistan getting a sizable lead. A bit of a flap from Babar Azam, but he's flapped it well from in front of his nose. Fielded down there on the long leg boundary by Chris Wokes, and they come through for a single, bringing Shan Masood, the left-hander, back onto strike. Interesting to see how Archer goes to Shan. Some stats. Had a lot of time during the break for rain. Babar Azam is one of the best batters in the world against the short ball in terms of his average in the last couple of years. Although he on the last tour, his tour was cut short by a bouncer from Ben Stokes that broke his arm. So I think England are very much going on what they remember rather than stats since. It is going to be the short ball attack. It looks like from Archer over the wicket still to Shan Masood. We've got this slip and gully in the mid-off. We've got the short leg. We've got a sort of catching square leg just in front of square, and two men back on the hook as well. England having a very clear idea of how they want to use Archer. A little one-dimensional perhaps, but if anyone can get some bounce out of this pitch, he can. That's too far outside off stump. Shan Masood is able to fend it to backward point. There is no run.
I'd change my mind if it worked. I've got to be honest and say I think it's not the best use of his talents to slip him into the enforcer role because you're sort of a bit desperate for a breakthrough.
No, he's shown. We don't really need to know this, but he was shown earlier that he is a skillful bowler as well as a fast bowler. David was talking about this. He's got the ability to move the ball both ways. He's got an excellent seam position. But with Shan Masood and Babar Azam looking good, or at least they were before the rain break, then England are going to try something. That's a short ball which is ducked under by Shan Masood. Pakistan 122 for 2. They survive the resumed over. What have we got on social media?
Well, a few people, notably amongst them, Mohammed Umar wants to know what time is close of play.
7:30 if the light holds.
Okay, which Ali Shan Monim had replied 11 p.m. Pakistan time. Jay Grover's sent us a few messages. He swears he's having all hallucinations. I've heard a duck
we've read that
murder. One. We've already read that one, have we? I wasn't sure where to start. Armchair Cricket Podcast. There seems to be a static buzz with the broadcast after restart.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that is. I'm just going to also have a look at the crowd. But what appears to be happening is that the umpires are having a chat with Joe Root. I'm not quite sure what this is about.
It's either light, rain, or Jofra Archer, and the fact that they're using him to bowl short at Babar Azam excessively.
Some of the umpire's business.
Well, it depends if it's excessive. So that's the sort of question mark.
I think Shan and Barber played it pretty well in that over. I don't think they'd be too bothered. Really not sure what this chat is about between umpires Kettleborough and Illingworth and Joe Root and the rest of the England team, but the upshot of it is that Dom Bess, or possibly this was the plan anyway, Dom Bess is going to bowl.
If the pitch isn't good for pace, get this lad on his bowling's ace. But if you need someone who bats, you should just save Dom Bess for last.
I think it's light because if they've suddenly, I think the discussion was, if you want to keep playing, you need to play your slower bowlers. But we've just seen them.
So we're not going to have Bess and Root bowling for an hour and a half, are we?
Well, they're looking at the light meters. If they don't want to, they should just bowl Archer and come off.
Yeah, there is having a light meter brought up by the fourth umpire, Steve O'Shaughnessy, the reserve umpire too, Richard Kettleborough. Dom Bess is going to bowl from the James Anderson end.
His hair weave, of course, hidden under his hat, which is rather a shame.
Yes.
Much to Grubby's disappointment, I'm sure.
in jokes from lockdown. So Bess had that catch dropped by Joss Butler off the bowling the bat of Shan Masood. Not an easy catch, but a catch that the wicketkeeper in Test cricket would expect to take. Saying while we were waiting for play to resume, only the second catch that Joss Butler has dropped as a keeper since coming back into Test cricket in 2018, but one that will do nothing to silence the doubting chorus. We've got the slip and a short leg, deep point cover. Mid off is going a little bit deeper and a little bit wider. Mid on, mid wicket, and a short fine leg starts outside off stump. Dom Bess, and Barber covers up in defence from outside off stump. Fielded at short leg. There is no run.
It used to be that the batsmen were offered the light and decided whether they want to stay on or stay off. I'll finish that point after this ball.
Yes, it's been a little while since the decision on the light was taken out of the player's hands. Turned from outside off stump to mid wicket by Babar Azam. A little bit too full from Bess. There is no run.
But ironically, they haven't taken it out of the player's hands, because if Root wanted to come off now, he'd just bowl Archer and tell him to bowl bumpers, and they'd take them off.
And I think we'll see. It will be interesting to see who bowls the next over from the Statham end. This is a little bit shorter from Bess. Barber able to go on the back foot, turns it on the bounce to Ollie Pope under the lid at short leg. There is no run. Stokes encouraging his man from the slips. I think the long on might have gone back to the edge of the boundary. No, I think long on is up. Tossed up. This one doesn't turn, and Barber defends this off the outside part of the bat. Butler's after it quickly to point, but there was always going to be a single there with deep point. Back on the boundary, Shan Masood coming back onto strike.
So in effect, it's moved from the batsman's decision to the bowling captain's decision.
Well, not quite. But yes, the batting team doesn't have the prerogative as they used to. Usually, when it got to the point of the light being offered to the batters, they would take it. For the left-hander, there's a slip and a silly point, or silly mid-off, perhaps. This is outside off stump from round the wicket from Bess to Shan Masood, who leaves alone. Through to the keeper, there is no run. Been impressed with Shan Masood leaving outside off stump. As Bess is in, big appeal, big LBW appeal. Umpire Illingworth says no, a little bit high, perhaps going down leg as well. This ball didn't appear to straighten or turn. Big conversations between Joe Root, who spreads his arms out wide as if to say what happened. He doesn't seem particularly interested, so England are not going to review this decision, but a decent delivery from Dom Bess, trapping Shan Masood on the crease.
I think that looked a pretty good shot, actually.
Yeah.
And the thing about LBWs is it's possible to retain the review even if it's not overturned. I'd like to see that again from Hawkeye's perspective.
Inside edge, possibly.
Inside edge.
It wasn't too high.
But it was an inside edge. I think he nudged it. That looked, from that angle, very much to me like he just played it onto his pads.
Anyway, that was the last ball of Dom Bess's first over after tea. This obviously with the lengthy rain break. 123 for 2 after 43 overs, and oh good lord, we are having Joe Root and Dom Bess bowling for an hour and more.
His voice is high-pitched and ginger hair like a picked, but massive runs he has hit, so there's that. Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root, actually.
So I think Not Fred had a very valid point there. I mean, what's the advantage to England if they don't think these two are good enough? It's not that they're not good enough, but if they'd rather be attacking with their quick bowlers, why not go, well, all right, we'll just put the quick bowlers on, we'll all go off, and we'd rather bowl tomorrow when we can bowl our quick bowlers, thanks very much. Is plugging away now really going to be an advantage?
It is a dry pitch, and there might be a little bit of turn and bounce, but this does seem rather like handing the initiative to Pakistan. Joe Root starts round the wicket to Babar Azam, slip and a leg slip and a short leg. Barber turns this as a short leg, there is no run. So Root has given himself a more attacking field than he gave Bess, his theoretical premier off-spinner, as Root is in with his headband, and that's turned off the hips by Babar Azam, falls just short of Rory Burns at leg slip, and it bounces into the offside, and there is no run.
Rory Burns, who really does look to me like he should be tying a damsel in distress to a railroad track.
As Root is in, a little bit round arm, a little bit shorter, and Barber turns this to the man at backward square, comes through quickly for the single. Good running by Babar Azam and Shan Masood.
I suppose, as far as Root's concerned, if they bowl a few overs of Bess and Root, and they see they're not causing any difficulty, he can just force the issue by saying, "Well, we'll come off." By bringing on Archer and peppering it around their helmet. So
that was my point.
Switched it from the batting's point to the fielding captain, and I can see a problem with that.
Shan Masood, that side off stump, will have that problem now.
What happens if a team is chasing in the fourth innings and the light is dark? If the umpires say it's too dark to bowl your fast bowlers.
As Root is in, 2 full and punched by Shan Masood, but fielded at extra cover. There is no run. James Anderson doing the fielding.
Then the fielding captain could just say, right, I'm going to bowl my fast bowlers and we're coming off. Thank you very much.
If that indeed is what happened, it defies logic.
Root goes wider on the crease. Shan Masood presses forward into the offside and there is no run. Pakistan 124 for 2 and unexpectedly facing 2 off spinners for most of the rest of this session. It's hard to see the light improving at this point.
Jay Grover said, I bet they're kicking themselves for not having Vince's penetrating wiles now.
I wouldn't say it's impossible for the light to improve because, there's 3 hours of daylight still and, it just needs a bit of sunlight, which can often happen in the evening, and it can be fine.
It's true. We've got an hour and a half, I suppose, for the clouds to part. But we'll see how all of that develops. Dom Bess is going to continue from the James Anderson end, bowling to Babar Azam, who's batted very well for his 55. We talked about his innings of 2 halves, as it were, either side of lunch. Straight delivery on off stump. Babar playing around his front pad a little bit, but gets the bat onto the line of the ball and blocks it to short leg. There is no run. Haven't seen any turn yet from Dom Bess, but the odd ones bounced a little bit. Bess is in too short, and Babar Azam can go back and whip this into the leg side, and whip it he does out to Dom Sibley, hovering off the mid-wicket boundary. They come through for a single.
As Tony says, it might not be to England's advantage for them to pick up 50 easy runs against Bess and Root. It's odd.
Archer seems perplexed by the whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's what they call a wry smile from Jofra Archer. Bess around the wicket to Shan Masood. A little bit of turn on that occasion, though. Footmarks already, perhaps. It is a dry pitch, and Masood plays off the outside part of the bat to backward point, and there is no run. Yeah, a little hint of turn from Dom Bess.
What about if Jimmy was bowling at 83 miles an hour, and pitching it up? Is that dangerous for the batsman?
We may be about to find out. Bess in. This one doesn't turn, just missed the footmark a little bit quicker. Shan Masood not comfortable against the off spinner from round the wicket, and off the inside part of the bat it goes to mid-wicket. There is no run.
But surely there's only 2 states of play, playable or not playable. And playable means for all types of bowlers you can't dictate. Well, you shouldn't be able to dictate. I'll hold the thought for a second, but I guess you know where it's going.
We have seen this before. Sometimes that's driven by Shan Masood trying to open himself out, but well fielded by the Dread Pirate Rory at cover, and there is no run. We have seen situations like this before where the light is good enough for spinners to bowl, but not fast bowlers.
We've seen it, but and I suppose the decision is given to the fielding captain. The umpires don't select who bowls, but they place the restrictions, and then it's up to them.
Last ball of this over from Dom Bess turns a little bit, taken by Butler, left by Shan Masood. Pakistan 125 for 2.
Leah is with us. Hello, Leah. Says Rory Burns looks like he will report to his master, the Cardinal Richelieu, at stumps. I'm sorry, Your Eminence, but the Saracens were just too good for us today.
We're mixing our timelines.
Adrian says, put the quicks on, giving the upper hand to Pakistan. I'm not sure about that, Adrian. We were actually almost just arguing the opposite, i.e. not having the quicks on.
I think he might be saying that this is giving the upper hand to Pakistan.
Oh, yes, I've got it. It's like 2 separate thoughts.
Yes, indeed. Root bowling some unexpected overs, bowling very wide of the crease from round the wicket, angles this across Babar Azam, and Ben Stokes injury or no injury, decides to do his own fielding at running from slip to backward point. There is no run.
Because it also is interesting now, what does Barber do? Does he, if he smacks 3-4s in a row, you'll see the quicks on and it'll be game over for the evening.
If you're being sensible as Babar Azam and Shan Masood, you just try and milk a few. That's down the leg side, and Butler parries it round the post to short fine leg. There is no run.
Well, this is it. So if you're the batsman, you are now effectively thinking, right, I just need to milk my 1s and 2s, so at least we just keep the scoreboard going. Can't make it too exciting, because if we make it exciting, we'll have to go off.
It's a slightly bizarre period of play that we've ended up with, isn't it? Flatter from Root on leg stump from round the wicket, and Barber defends off the outside part of the bat to backward point. There is no run, and now you've got Joe Root bowling outside leg stump.
But generally speaking, cricketers prefer not to be playing. They prefer to have their feet up in the changing room.
You're listening to Not Fred Naylor. Back of a length and worked by Babar Azam to the man at backward square, and there is no run.
Just had a mental image of what that would actually look like, Knuckle. I really wish you hadn't said it.
A very fine-looking gentleman, I think. Would find.
With many opinions. Some of them are about cricket. Back of a length from Dom Besson, worked by Babar Azam, but well fielded at short leg by Ollie Pope, who's done fine work there in his short Test career. There is no run. Root back to his mark very quickly. This means we'll get plenty of overs in. Full outside off stump and turned by Barber to mid wicket. He always, when he sets off for his single, he always looks like he's in a bit of a panic, but he's pretty quick. Comes through for the single, moves to 57. Pakistan at the end of that over 126 for 2.
Derek Willis.
I'd just like to point out that Hendo said he's going to come back with a rotor and hasn't been seen for 15 minutes.
Oh no, he has come back with it, but he only sent it to me, which is very helpful.
Brilliant. Well, that's handy enough. Brilliant.
Yeah,
Derek Willis says, play or not play, Schrodinger's batsman's theory. I quite like that idea.
Just drop the rotor in the chat. So the next change is going to be at 6:25, when it's going to be Hendo, Fred and Jono, and then at 7 it's going to be Jono, Tony and Hendo. The Bear is at home looking after the Cubs.
Ah, right.
Bess in back over the wicket to Babar Azam, turned on the bounce to Ollie Pope, who fields well with one hand, the right, and there is no run. Shan Masood has been marooned on 45 since the resumption.
Shan Maroon.
Very good. Well, good. As Bess turns the ball spins the ball from hand to hand, and he's in. Right arm over the wicket past umpire Illingworth from the James Anderson end, and Barber stretches forward and blocks back to the bowler. There is no run. Case for Dom Bess to go round the wicket, perhaps?
Well, there's a bit of turn, so you can attack stump to the right-hander at the same time as pushing it across them. So I don't think there's been that much turn. You're unlikely to turn. It's not quick turn as yet, so maybe
Bess
not.
in. Down the track comes Babar Azam. Maybe Bess just saw Barber coming there and fired it a bit flatter and a bit more leg-sided, but Barber adjusted his feet well and jabbed it out past short leg to Archer at mid-wicket. There is no run. Yeah, what turn we've seen is from what appear to be footmarks outside the left-handers off stump rather than anything from the main part of the wicket. But it might be worth doing just for a bit of variety if Barber's looking set. He is round the wicket, of course, to the left-handed Shan Masood, who's on 45. Down the track comes Shan Masood, and Butler's missed a stumping. He's not having a good day behind the stumps, Josh Butler. That one should have been simple. It didn't turn particularly. It did bounce, but Shan was way down the wicket, and Butler failed to take. He got his gloves nowhere near it as it thumped him in the shoulder, and Shan Masood survives again.
I'm annoyed because I was just about to say it's a free bet coming down the wicket with Butler behind the stumps, and then one ball later, you're not going to believe me, but I was going to say it.
Actually, in this instance, I do believe it.
It's getting silly.
Josh Butler's stats as a keeper in Test cricket weren't too bad for most of the recall, but they're getting worse steadily, and they're getting.
He doesn't pass the eyesight test, regardless of the stats.
Shan Masood tries to work this up to mid on, squirts off the outside part of the bat to mid off, and there is no run.
Simultaneously, Somerset fans will be saying,
this one's fired in by Bess, and another leading edge from Shan Masood squirts past silly mid off, and there is no run. Shan Masood's on 45 for 2, effectively. Pakistan 127 for 2.
Yeah, Somerset fans will be saying, "Oh, Dom Bess is so unlucky. He's getting all these chances and not being taken." And at the same time, they were saying, "Oh, those were really tough. Joss is a really good keeper."
Or if he'd have stayed at Somerset, he'd be more used to keeping to Dom Bess. Might be the other thing they'd say. Derek Willis says, "We also had a rain delay in North Carolina. due to a passing thunderstorm, but back on the beach now. You and Chris Rea, fantastic.
Sean Masood missed that delivery by some distance. It was well bowled by Dom Bess. Having seen Sean Masood, who really hasn't looked comfortable at all since the resumption. Bauer might be well advised to knock a single here and give Sean the strike against Root. He whips this Babar Azam to the man at kind of on the 45, a little bit squarer than that, and there is no run. Seeing this stumping again. It did bounce, but Butler didn't get his hands anywhere near the line of the ball, didn't anticipate the bounce, and thus it thumped off shoulder, and Sean was able to regain his ground. Barber flicks this full delivery out to the leg side sweeper, and they come through for a single. Sean Masood will now face up to the flatter stuff of Joe Root.
How many left-handers are there in the Pakistan top 7?
It's mostly right-handers, I think. So we've
Just
got
the one, or
well, we've got Shadab Khan might be a left-hander. Let's have a look. No, Shadab is a right-hander, so I think most of the top 7 are right-handers. This is a full delivery from Root, and Sean blocks back to the bowler. There is no run. Athar Shafiq is right-handed. Shadab Khan is right-handed. Mohammad Rizwan is right-handed, and then you're into the bowlers. So yeah, it is just Sean Masood. Stretches forward this time and finally gets his first run after tea. Pushes up to Jofra Archer, who missed fields, but they were home anyway. Sean moves to 46. 150 balls he's faced now.
Because some people were surprised that Best bowled against the almost entirely right-handed West Indies attack. He was selected ahead of Leach. And a similar thing is true with the right-handed Pakistani backing lineup.
Root in. Barber sweeps and sweeps fine. Dom Best can't do anything about that on the 45. Well fine of him, and Babar Azam picks up 4.
Can't do many more of them, otherwise it'll be Jofra time, and then off we'll all go.
Joff, yes, Joff we go indeed.
Joff we go.
That's a good shot from Babar Azam. He's got the leg slip in place. He's got the short leg in place, but recognised where the fielders were not, i.e. very fine. Played that sweep very well. Moves to 63. Root in the last ball of the over, and Barber works this away square of mid-wicket, picking the gaps very nicely. He'll keep the strike, and he moves to 64. Pakistan 134 for 2. Are we just going to see now Root and Best bowling exclusively to Babar Azam for the next hour?
It could be. Let me just say hello to a few people on Cricket Tracker. Kaleem's clearly supporting Pakistan, as is Mohammed Irfan, who says Pakistan Zinzabad. Khalid Mustafa updating everyone about the restart time. Thank you for helping out on that. Abid Ali is with us. Khalid Mustafa again. Milan Ali saying good, which is great. Welcome to you all on Cricket Tracker. Glad to have you with us.
Dom Best bowling to Babar Azam, who's looked very comfortable against him. The same cannot be said for his batting partner Sean Masood. Babar turns this straight delivery past short leg to square leg, and there is no run. I would come around the wicket if I were Dom Best to Babar Azam, if only to stop Babar comfortably working every ball to leg.
It's not as though that England have to worry about the crowd getting annoyed if they come off the bad light either.
Best in. This is outside off stump, and Barber thinks about punching it through the onside, but offside rather, but does not. Stand up tall and blocks back to the bowler. There is no run.
I'd quite like to have seen Joe Root be a bloody-minded Yorkshireman and tell the umpires, no, Archer's bowling, take us off.
In comes Best, third ball of the over. Down the track comes Babar Azam, mid-on is up. That might have carried for 6, actually. That's a fantastic shot from Babar Azam. Just a little drop kick, really whipping the bottom hand through the line of the ball. No, 1 bounce 4. Fantastic flat hit from Babar. It's a different game when Babar Azam's playing the off-spinners to when Sean Masood is.
There's no mileage in England bowling Best and Root at this point. You're handing the initiative of the game to Pakistan at a quite important
indeed. Pakistan were on top before the rain came at 121 for 2. They were at the resumption, and by the end today, if this keeps going, they could be in a really dominant position. There's a back of a length from Dom Bess having been hit down the ground, and this is worked by Babar in to the onside, and come through for a single. Partnership now 96.
We also have a number of people with us on hot mic, I'm glad to see, including Farong Andrew Wright. Hello to you, and something I will read at the end of this over, which is quite interesting actually.
Bess in 2 balls. He's got Sean Masood is on 46, and he's troubled him a couple of times. Had him dropped on 45, had him stumping on 45, and Sean blocks back to the bowler. There is no run.
Butler fingers, somebody said that was
very good.
from the green room.
Very good. There's nowhere to hide as a wicketkeeper when you're not having a good day.
No.
Last ball of the over from Dom Bess, his ninth, the 49th of the innings. That's shortish and cut by Shah Masood, but he can't get any runs off that either. Fielded by Archer at backward point. Pakistan 139 for 2 in this slightly weird third session.
PT Hedge, I don't know if I've said that right, or Thedge, or P-Thedge. Anyway, on hot mic, says, I wonder if Shan Masood knows that his name is Geordie for bad, unfair or embarrassing. For example, you could say that Butler is a Shan keeper.
Hold that thought, they're going off. This weird interregnum, this strange period of limited jeopardy. I say limited jeopardy, as Ishan had a stumping missed off him, but of England not being able to bowl the bowlers that they would like to bowl has ended for now. Pakistan have gone off 139 for 2. Bad light has stopped play, and if it's got to the stage of bad light stopping play, we really are hoping for a sudden evening sunburst. Otherwise, this might not be very good. This might not be.
I think
this
I wonder
day might
here
not be
if,
long for the world.
I wonder here if the situation was exactly as I think the three of us have been describing it. It's not necessarily just the umpires. A conversation was had with Joe Root going, I don't want to play my spinners anymore, so we will go off. So effectively, it looks like the umpires are taking them off, but in reality, Joe Root has taken a decision that has meant they have had to go off because Joe Root doesn't want to get his spinners tonked around.
I think he should have done, because it was a situation that was not to England's advantage, and he's entitled to use the regulations. He didn't make the rules. If the umpires say fast bowlers bowl and we're coming off, he's entitled to say, I want my fast bowlers to bowl. I don't have a problem with that. The question of whether the light is dangerous to the batsman if the fast bowler is bowling is not something we can tell sitting on the other side of a TV camera and a Zoom.
No, indeed. I mean, they will have taken a reading, and this will be the reading for the rest of the Test match. But that was a period of play that did England and possibly the game no favours.
It didn't, but again, it's not like you've got a full house who will be booing if they come off after 10 minutes. In this kind of situation, Root's got to do what's best for his team, even if it doesn't look good. He has to do what's best for the game.
Well, and interestingly, the umpires are staying out there now. Quite often, a team that's had to leave the field, the fielding team, if they don't want to go off, will be hanging around at the edge of the, in front of the pavilion, not in it, clearly making the point to the umpires that we should be out there and we're ready to go any second. But it's like trudging off. Reverse.
Root was trudging off pretty slowly.
Yeah. Root might think that it's good enough for the fast bowlers to bowl, and what you say, Knuckle, about they've taken a reading and that becomes the reading. Well, yes, but the first reading that's taken in the game is decided on the umpire's opinion. I mean, there's nothing. I don't think there's a number that they have to come off.
Presumably, the number would not be the same at every ground, because every ground has slightly different atmospheric conditions.
Yeah, so the umpires have made the decision that we think it's too dark for the fast bowlers to bowl. I would imagine Root disagrees with that, but there's nothing he can do about that. They've made the decision, and he can complain till he's blue in the face, but that's what's going to happen. I'd like to discuss, just coming back to Butler. I did slightly hyperbolically tweet a while back, it may have been a couple of weeks ago, that it's Ed Smith's signature selection was Butler, and the fact that he refuses to accept what everybody else can see, that Butler is not a Test match wicketkeeper, is not just troubling. I mean, it's almost an impeachable offence. I mean, at what point does your opinion carry more weight than everybody else? Are there people out there who are saying, no, Butler is a good enough, he's such a good batsman, in potential obviously, because he hasn't shown it in the last couple of years, that his substandard keeping means that England have to pick him? I haven't heard anyone say that, and the only person who does think that is Ed Smith. At what point does Ed Smith have to either swallow his pride or be told that it's not just not good enough?
We don't know the conversations that are going on with the other selectors. Obviously, Ed Smith is the chief selector, but he's not the only one. There are other scouts. There are England. Actually, England's selection thing process is interesting because they actually take it pretty seriously at every level, up to going up through the pathways, through the Lions programs, through the development programs, through the age group programs, and into development squads and so forth. They look at a lot of different data points, including matching that with the averages, with the eye tests, going out and sending scouts around the county grounds and on Lions tours to watch people play. But at the top of it, you've got Ed Smith, who is a man who, through his writing, has shown a very limited understanding of data and who is prone to wild hunches.
Well, it's not his writing; it's probably somebody else's writing. But the point is, he is very much the figurehead of the England selection process. And if you go back to the time when he took over, he was saying, "I want Butler because I think his batting." This was, by the way, before Butler was keeping. But he selected Butler as a specialist batsman. In the last year or so, even after his half century in the last Test match, he's averaging in the very low 20s as a batsman. When Bairstow was relieved of his position in the team, it was a case of, well, let's give Butler the gloves. And I can't see in any shape or form that Folks, who is, I don't think anybody who watches cricket would say is comparable to Butler as a keeper. He's much, much better than Butler. And it's hard to suggest that he's going to average less with the bat. What is the upside of Butler? It's all potential, but he's played, 45 Test matches now. He's hit 100. He's played about half of them as a specialist batsman, probably less than half as a specialist batsman. At what point do you say, like you say about Mark Ramprakash and James Vince and many, many others over the years, well, yes, we think he's a good batsman and he's got all the strokes and he's got, we think he's got a good head on his shoulders, but he's just not doing it.
There's a lot of people out there agreeing with you, Fred.
Just before
you might want to soak in for a moment or two.
I like Jos Buttler, and I think he did pretty well in his first year in Test cricket as back in Test cricket as a specialist batter. He did really well in that tour of Sri Lanka, and he averaged just a shade under 40. But since the start of 2019, it's not been working for him. His wicket keeping is not as good as Ben Folkes is. Ben Folkes also did very well in Sri Lanka, and actually averages just over 40. Admittedly, not from very many Test matches, but does have a Test 100. So I don't think would let you down with the bat. And the other side of it is, if England are now going to be splitting their white ball and red ball squads for a little while, there is no doubt that Jos Buttler is more valuable to them in one-day cricket and T20 cricket than in Test cricket. He is one of the very best white ball batsmen that England have ever produced, one of the very best in the world, and he's likely to be taking over from Owen Morgan when Owen Morgan finally steps down in one-day cricket. So there was the opportunity to do as they've done with Johnny Bairstow and maximise their strengths rather than have them try and cover their relative deficiencies. Although Bairstow has had good periods in Test cricket. I would not have picked Jos Buttler before the West Indies series. After the West Indies series and after his useful contributions, he was never going to get dropped for this Test. But this conversation, this day of Test cricket, this interrupted day of Test cricket, has done absolutely nothing to silence the doubters.
Well, Nigel Henderson, Hendo from the green room, or the virtual green room of Wimbledon, asks us the question, which I think is a prompt for us to discuss it, but it's a very good question, is how many runs will Jos owe England? And that's a way to look at it. So he goes out to bat in a way owing England already, well, it depends what, the batsman.
Yeah, look, every keeper...
That's always a hard one to judge.
Every keeper in history has dropped catches, and every keeper misses stumpings. It's not to say that it's automatic. Neither of them were that absolutely undroppable or unstumpable. They were toughish chances, but they should both have been taken. But I haven't. It's not a case of a vendetta as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if you look back to when Ed Smith made that decision, he was going to pick Jos Buttler as a Test batsman. I'm pretty sure at the time I was in favour of it, or I was certainly in favour of giving it a go. But I brought up Vince earlier. Vince's also looks $1 million, but there comes a time after he hasn't made runs that you say he has to go because we're not doing the best. We're not putting out the best team that we can, and that point was reached with Butler. Maybe 6, 7, 8 tests ago.
Yeah.
And the fact that the stubbornness of Ed Smith is causing a problem.
Be a wonderful title for a book, The Stubbornness of Ed Smith. Because there are all these people agreeing with you, Fred. Because there are so many people agreeing with you, I'm going to read some of them. Hold on. Says,
just before you do that, they're called stumps.
Okay, well, let me just run through them very quickly, and then we'll roll up play. Leah says, and as the rancid cherry on top of the thoroughly polished herd of performance, Butler will also make a duck. Jay Grover can't understand why his cult worship. It says his cult worship is beginning to grate. Anna Forsyth says, all right, I'm finally listening to cricket today. Well, I've got bad news for you, Anna. It's been rather short. Sad for us, sad for you, because they have just called stumps. Derek Willis says, hasn't Archer been known to bowl spin? He's certainly been known to sort of truck in, much as Tim Murtagh did yesterday, off a very short run. Which Tim Murtagh didn't actually took a wicket, which is extraordinary.
Left arm spin in the net, but obviously that's a very different.
Yeah. He bowls leg breaks, doesn't he? I think
he could have bowled knuckleballs.
Let me see. It goes on. Jeff Perkins says the advantage would have been England's if they'd selected someone who could keep. That's very much the discussion we've been having. Jay Grover says, repeating an earlier question, what was the rationale for not offering the batsman the light? I think we've tried to discuss that, Jay. It's the umpire's call now.
Yeah,
not the
I think what he's saying is the rationale from changing it from offering the batters the light, basically because every time you offered the batters the light, they'd take it.
The Ghost of Zoob says, at what point does your opinion carry more weight than anybody else's if you voted to leave the EU? Peter Lloyd says, if the rule if you bowl fast we come off, or only spinners can bowl? Subtle difference, but in the first but in first route can force off, in the second can't. Okay, I think I get that, and I think that that's pretty much what we have been talking about. Jay Grover says, oh, hi Fred, impeachment works. I agree with you about Ed Smith not having some weird blood magic bond to Butler. They are horribly sewn together.
I would point out to the Ghost of Zoob that if 52% of the country vote for Butler to stay in the team, then I will happily accept that decision.
Jeff Perkins says, maybe the upside of Butler is that those compromising photos stay secret. Could be. Plenty of us. Anna Forsyth, the stubbornness of Ed Smith is exhausting. I think he was right about bringing Josh back into the side, but now Ben Folkes is a better test keeper. Jay Grover, Gary never dropped a catch. Naylor for keeper. Well, that's L.E. Toffee gives us something to chew on. Chase and Dowrich batted for 28 overs in the first innings of the first test. I think that's going back to a conversation some while ago, but thank you all very much indeed. And that brings us pretty much up to date.
I'll just do a little wrap up of the
I'd just like to ask a question, Knuckle, if I may. If they're off the bad light and play could continue to 7:30, why the hell have they called stumps?
Presumably because the umpires don't think it's going to get any better.
Well, are they meteorologists? Are they fortune tellers? I mean,
nothing about.
They're there. They're all on the ground. They can't go anywhere. Why the hell not wait and see if it gets better?
It looks even stupider with the floodlights on. It always does. Some people have been saying, have some pink balls available to use some pink balls in when the floodlights are on. I think that's probably a little bit artificial, but this is one of those situations where cricket looks particularly stupid. It's almost a blessing that there are no spectators in to watch this, and almost none of this period after the resumption has made the slightest bit of sense to any of us.
Shall we wrap up?
Yeah,
people have heard enough of us.
I was just going
End
to
of
quickly.
play.
Yeah, I'm going to just quickly go through the scorecard, and then we'll get off and enjoy what's left of our evenings. Pakistan end today, this truncated day, on 139 for 2 for 49 overs. They'll be very, very happy with their day's work, having won the toss and elected to bat. Abid Ali was bowled by a beauty from Jofra Archer through the gate, 16. He made off 37. Azhar Ali continued his poor run in Test cricket recently. LBW to Chris Wilkes for naught. Shah Masood is 46 not out. Babar Azam has made a very fluent 69 not out. James Anderson, 8 overs 2 maidens, none for 32. Stuart Broad, 11 overs 4 maidens, none for 24. Neither of them at their best. Chris Wokes, 8 overs 2 maidens, 1 for 14. Joffer Archer, 10 overs 3 maidens, 1 for 23. Don Best, 9 overs 1 maiden, none for 30. Should have had Sean Masood out twice. Joe Root, 3 pointless overs for 9. And that's it for everybody here at Gorilla Cricket. Join us again at 10:50 a.m. tomorrow morning for what we hope will be a full day of cricket with both teams able to do exactly what they want to do. All right, see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.